Hey guys, and welcome to our final Game of the Year debate episode. This has been a lot of fun for us to get together with a couple of friends of ours from our online communities and to just talk about games from this year. So it's been a lot of fun for us. I hope it's been interesting to listen to, despite the fact that we're oftentimes wrong or crazy in our opinions of stuff. But the goal was to have a panel with a wide set of opinions for the most part, and that's had a lot of different experiences, and then to come together to rank the best games of the year. That being said, I just want to be very clear. We really enjoyed this year in gaming. So even when we go after a game or say it's not as good as another one, I think I speak for all four of us when I say that we really liked most of the games that we talk about. The games that we're knocking off the list, except for Derek and games like Nier and Hellblade. You can't win with those, but with other games. For the most part, we're just trying to rank them. So we had a lot of fun doing this. Again, I hope it's fun and interesting to listen to, and I'd love to hear your feedback. What games would you pick for these different awards? So we're going to dive in this week to a number of different things, a number of different categories. Most specifically, it's all about multi-platform. So it's a third-party category, and then best overall game. Those are the two biggest ones. So we'll get into that here in a few minutes. This is an extra long episode. And because of our recording schedule the last couple weeks, we are actually going to take a week off. So on January 7th, that first Sunday in January, you won't get an episode from us. Hopefully these last 6 episodes that all came out in the last week will be enough to tide you over for an extra week. So we're going to take 1 week off, and then we'll be back second week of January with our preview of 2018. So again, thank you guys for your support. Happy New Year, and enjoy this episode. Oh, and one last thing. Stick around to the very end if you want to hear a recap of all the community voting results. I will make sure I add those to the end so you guys can know who won based on your votes. All right, thanks. Enjoy.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
We are finally here with the final installment of our Game of the Year debates with Fathers of the Grind. Thank you for sticking with us. This is the big one. This is where we talk about the best overall game, in addition to a few other things. We'll talk about best multi-platform game. The idea there being we gave awards to most exclusive games. Now we're going to talk about games that were on multiple consoles, and then we'll do just best overall. No rules, really, no console limitation. Any game that came out this year is up for grabs for that one. We'll also talk about best DLC or expansion because there are a number of games that did some really awesome things by expanding their existing games, and then a few other smaller categories as well. So before we do that, let me reintroduce you guys to our panel. We have myself, Tim Nestor. We also have my co-host each and every week, Derek Teague.
Hello. Hey, how you doing, Tim? How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thanks for doing the best you can not to make fun of my microphone that looks like a metal penis coming up from the bottom of the screen. I appreciate you doing the best you can not to say too much about it.
It looks great, especially real close to your mouth. Looks great. Looks juicy.
Thank you.
Real juicy.
Thank you. We also have Rudy Regalado. Rudy, welcome back. Thanks for joining us yet again. Are you getting sick of us yet?
Hey, everyone. No, of course not. I love you guys. Can't talk.
Glad to have you here. Thanks for taking time. And my fellow Coloradan, Kyle Neely. Welcome, Kyle.
How's it going, everybody?
Now that we're at our final recording, I'm just now thinking, oh, Kyle and I probably should have just been in the same room.
I know, we probably could have been.
Didn't even think about it. We probably could have planned at least one of those.
But I'd have to start driving down to Derek so we could meet up there. Take me a while.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just a 12, 15-hour drive.
Hey, Rudy.
It's more than that. It's probably
Rudy,
like 20.
Just fair warning, as a human being and as a friend, don't go to Derek's house. Okay.
It's a terrible place.
All right, so let's jump right in. We're going to talk first about, and this is just our own picks, right? We're going to get warmed up again, get our brains thinking about the games again. I know it's been a couple days since we recorded, so I want to make sure that we kind of build into the debate section. So we'll talk about our favorite remaster, re-release, or collection. So whatever is applicable for you. And then there's always remasters and re-releases every year, and we always look at them and say, okay, this doesn't qualify for best game of the year, but boy, this has been one of my favorite things to play this year. This is our chance to give recognition to that game or those games. So as you guys think through what your favorite remaster, re-release, or collection release was, I'll let you know what the community picked, and they picked Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And it wasn't super close. And it was actually a little bit of a surprise because we do have a mostly Sony-friendly group. We really do. We have a lot of Nintendo fans and a decent number of Xbox fans, but it's really majority Sony. And Sony had a number of re-releases and remasters come out this year. I expected one of those to get the win, but Mario Kart 8 ran away with it. And I love that pick. That's one of my favorites of the year, too. So
Good pick.
that's the community's pick. Let's go to my co-host first this time. Derek, what was your favorite remaster of the year? I suppose if you really need to name a couple, let's no more than 3. But if you've got one top one, let's share that.
I'll go with the community. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I would say as a bonus, Final Fantasy 12. I didn't get to play it a lot, but it was still nice that it came out, and it's not something that you could get on PC, because a lot of remasters now I can get them on PC, so I don't even need them. But to have it now on the PS4, it's a nice touch.
Yeah. Yep. Good picks. What about you, Kyle?
I actually really enjoyed .hack GU. It's 4 games all in one. It's an actual remaster, re-release, and a collection, so that hits all the boxes there.
Dang.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of game for $40, $50. I forget how much I paid.
So do you know the quick overview of that? Is that 4 full RPG releases in that one?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I think the last one is shorter, like much shorter, but yeah, it's the final chapter. It's like an epilogue chapter.
Dang. Okay, and it's all remastered for HD.
Yeah, but that's four 25 to 35-hour RPGs.
Dang.
Each installment.
Nice.
Are the first.
I never tried those games out. Never tried that series. And I always kind of noticed it, but then never really dove into it. But that sounds like a pretty great compilation right there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right, Rudy, what about you? What jumps to mind for you for favorite remaster, re-release, or collection?
So, yeah, Mario Kart 8 is an obvious one. But one other one that I really enjoyed was the Crash bundle. What was all 3 games in one? And it looks way better than the originals did. And it was just fun to play again. So I thought that was a pretty good one. The only other thing I'll mention is LA Noire didn't really get a visual update, but just having that on the Switch was pretty awesome because I never got to play that one.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
good game.
It's a re-release. I mean, it counts.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, having that on the Switch, I got through it in a few weeks, and it's like a 30-hour game, which I probably wouldn't have today. So yeah.
So the Switch is the reason why this category to me is actually pretty tough because they have had a ton of re-releases, not so much remasters, but they've companies once they notice the early popularity of the Switch, and then especially as they noticed the continued popularity of the system, then all of a sudden it seemed like developers in droves were like, get our game on there, right? And so they're even in some cases, some of these indie games are outselling the Steam sales for the same game, which is shocking. Because Steam always has the biggest audience and best prices, usually at least. So that's pretty amazing. So the Switch has been an amazing system for that. So there's games that kind of fought for this in my mind. Things like Stardew Valley I've talked about, or Overcooked. I really liked those. But the one that takes it for me is the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. So not only did they release the new Spectre Knight element, but they also gave you the original Shovel Knight right there on the Switch. Then you got to play through the Plague of Shadows, the Plague Knight story, and Spectre Knight. And if you bought the Treasure Trove, which is why it's my favorite collection, then when the King of Cards comes out early 2018, that will automatically be added to that as well. So to me, that was my favorite. But Mario Kart 8, Final Fantasy 12 were 2 others that I wrote down. I totally agree. Those were fantastic re-releases as well. So it's been a good year for that.
Yeah.
Good year for that. And I got to tell you, there are times when I see these re-releases and collections come out, it reminds me that sometimes it's okay to skip a game you're not super pumped about because it will eventually be re-released on something, right? Mm-hmm. You'll get a chance to play it at some point, for the most part.
Definitely.
All right, so that was looking back. Now let's look ahead, and let's talk about what game we are anticipating the most after 2017. So any game that will release after December 31st, 2017. We can pick from, and we have to pick one. You got to narrow it down to just one. So this time we're going to start with Rudy, and why don't you give us the first game that comes to mind? Doesn't matter if there's a release date or not. If it's been officially announced, it counts. What's your pick?
So the reason why I asked that question earlier is because I don't know, some people might not like this answer, but for me it's Metroid Prime 4. And the only reason I say that is because those first 3 games were just like, those are like top 10 games ever for me. Probably say 1 and 3 for sure. 2 probably close. So knowing they're making another one, And if they're going to be anywhere close to what they did with Zelda or Mario on the Switch, which were arguably the best in those series, if they could do that again, the possibilities are just crazy. So that's
an open world Metroid Prime.
Oh my God! That would be so crazy.
That.
Not even. It doesn't even have to be open world. Maybe like a open like hub world, like Tomb Raider or something. You know what I mean? Maybe something like that. I think would be cool.
Well, even think about like Mario Odyssey is kind of an open.
Yeah, that's it. Is an open
areas, right? Multiple open
sandbox.
If you had a Metroid Prime with better visuals and on the Switch and open areas like that, man, I think they could do something pretty crazy there. So definitely.
And also, this is not announced, but you just reminded me that one of the things that would make 2018 just, again, another stellar year for Nintendo, outside of the major releases they're going to have, if they re-release the Metroid Prime trilogy on Switch,
that'd be awesome.
Then I'll be all over that.
I could see them doing it, though, man.
I could too. Yeah. I mean, they're putting out Bayonetta 1 and 2, and then they're working on 3. They're doing all the things that fans are asking for, but no one's expecting.
Yeah.
So
I'm definitely excited for that one, man.
Cool.
That comes.
That's a good pick. What about you, Kyle? What's your most anticipated game?
I decided.
And of course, I know this could change. If I ask you tomorrow, you might say a different game, right? But what about just for tonight?
And I went with my heart. I didn't even look at any list or anything like that. Just Red Dead Redemption 2. I just want it in my life right now. Gotta have it. It's gonna deliver your cup of tea. Anything Rockstar, I'm into. So I think they'd always deliver pretty masterful stuff, and I'm really excited for that.
It's gonna be awesome, man.
Nice. Cool. What about you, Derek? Most anticipated game after this year?
I was originally going to say Far Cry 5, but since this isn't really a 2018 question, I changed it.
It is. It could be 2018.
Well, I mean, I'm saying we're not held to just 2018. My game's going to go outside of 2018 easily. It's probably a 2020 game, and that's Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, good choice.
Nice.
The Witcher 3. I'm right now through. I've started the game like 80 times, but I'm more than halfway through my second playthrough, and I was sitting there playing it today and just having a blast. Like, just doing side quests, collecting. I'm going after all of Geralt's special suits or armor and swords and everything like that. And so I was just playing it, and I started thinking about it. I was like, I really have to start thinking about this game being the greatest of all time for me personally. I just love it. So when I think of that and how much I love that game, Cyberpunk 2077 sounds like an amazing game that's too far away from me.
Yep. And for anybody who's listening who's not familiar, that's the same developer as the Witcher series, CD Projekt Red. They have an incredible track record, and of course their most recent mega hit was The Witcher 3 with their awesome DLC and expansion packs, which we'll get to in just a few minutes. And that's a project that they have teased, but we haven't heard a ton about other than they're working on it. And we've also heard that they're not necessarily done with the Witcher series either. Who knows if that's going to be Witcher 4 or a spin-off with other Witcher characters? Who knows? But Cyberpunk 2077 does look very intriguing, and just the pedigree of the developer, I'm with you. That's a really exciting title as well.
Who made the old game? Who made the old? Wasn't there like an old Cyberpunk game or something?
Cyberpunk is an old pen and paper game.
I think this is an original.
No, Cyberpunk 2077 is an old pen and paper, like Dungeons and Dragons game. Yeah,
okay.
It's off of that property.
I didn't know.
So you can look into the whole lore.
We need a little
right now if you guys want to. And pick a lot of stuff that
we need a little the more you know star to come right by Kyle's head.
Yeah.
He says that.
Very nice, Kyle.
That's awesome. All right, so for me, I was back and forth. I'm very excited about those others you mentioned. Metroid Prime 4, Cyberpunk, of course, very excited about. But since they're so far away, I tend to get more hyped for stuff that's right around the corner. Sure. So I'm back and forth between. It was Red Dead 2, and I'm probably overthinking this, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but I'm a little bit wary of what Rockstar has said recently about the microtransaction stuff. And I'm not necessarily scared because I've played plenty of recent games and had a blast with them that had microtransactions. I'm just a little bit wary of that. So my excitement level for that is down, and I'm back and forth now between God of War and Far Cry 5. I'm going to lean towards Far Cry 5 as the one I'm most excited for. If you haven't watched the trailer for that, go watch it. It looks absolutely fascinating.
Fun.
And
awesome.
The world that they've built there out in the kind of the central north area of the U.S., like Montana, It looks beautiful and also terrifying with the whole like cult thing that you're going to try to take down. It looks really fun and really beautiful. I cannot wait. So that's my most anticipated game. The community voted, and they picked overwhelmingly. Again, this was a write-in option, and overwhelmingly they picked Spider-Man.
Wow. That's surprising.
I'm surprised The Last of Us Part 2 didn't get picked.
Yeah, I was thinking about The Last of Us Part 2, but...
Yeah, the Last of Us 2 did get a few votes, but Spider-Man won overwhelmingly. All the other ones you mentioned actually got votes too, but it was mainly Spider-Man. So there you go. From Insomniac, that's probably going to be coming out next year, right? I mean, it seems like they're
I think they said, yeah, it seems like it's going to be next year.
Yeah, they've talked about it for a little while now, and it just the trailers they've shown some gameplay. It just seems like it's pretty close to release. So that's what I'm thinking.
Sony's
all right,
prep for a big year. 2018.
Another big
one.
Huge.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
Definitely
a huge year.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge. I mean, they're going to put out God of War, and they're going to put out Spider-Man, and those are
and Detroit. Biggest. Detroit will probably be there too.
And probably Detroit, right? But those first two to me seem like the biggest tentpoles, and then they'll have a ton of other games, and who knows what will be next year's, Nier or some of their other Pyre, some of their smaller games.
Neo was a huge hit,
we all love Nier. I love Nier.
Yeah, you do love Nier. All right, so let's do one more quick pick before we take a deep dive here into our debates, and that is what we're calling Gem of the Year. The idea here being it's not necessarily in your top 10, maybe it is, but the idea is that really no one's talked about it. Not many people know about it, but you think people should go get it. This is your Gem of the Year, and especially if it's something we haven't talked about here yet, then it's worth mentioning. So I'll kick this off so you guys have an idea of what I mean. This is not a game that is on my top 10. Actually, there's two that I was battling back and forth between. Neither one are on my top 10 of the year, but to me, they're great, smaller titles that people should play. If you like shoot 'em ups and kind of flying, side-scrolling games, if you've enjoyed House Smart games, things like that, then go get Graceful Explosion Machine. It's a really cool art. It's a really fun game, very challenging game, really fun arcade game. And then my secondary one would be Tiny Metal. If you're looking for an Advance Wars clone, Tiny Metal is a blast. Those are my two gems of the year. I couldn't decide between the two. So, Kyle, what about you? What would be a gem of the year for you?
It's weird because we actually talked about it a couple times in previous episodes, but it's What Remains of Edith Finch. I don't know a lot of people have actually played this game. People talk about it, but not a lot of people have actually played it. Really good writing, just really good, and you can cruise through it in about 2 hours.
So basically, you're saying wait till it's free and then play it. I hear you.
Yeah, it's probably we're ready. Yeah, so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Cool. All right. Derek, what about you?
I'm going to go with, I got to spend after I finished Nier Automata, I got to spend some extra time with Yakuza 0, and I'm going to go ahead, and since it's not going to make my top 10 list, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a shout-out as a game that I think everybody should play. Kyle hit on it the other day on our I think our third or fourth part of the show, and he basically said, this is your time to play it. This is the best Yakuza, and it's the start of the story. So Sony's done a great job of saying, hey, don't be scared that this game will have its 6th release or 7th release because of 0. You get to start fresh with 0, and then they already remastered the first one. So I'll give it a shout out. It's super fun. I'm into chapter 2, so I'm not real far, but I love it. And I think once I get through The Witcher 3 for the second time, I think I'm gonna go and try to finish Yakuza.
Nice, awesome, very cool. And Rudy, what about you? Your gem of the year?
All right, so I'm gonna have to go with an indie, just like my friend Tim there. And say, if I can even convince one person to play this game, it's worth it, which is Finding Paradise, which is a game that is a sequel to the Moon, which are both PC-only games. They're like pixel art, very short, maybe like 4 or 5 hours long, but the stories are just amazing on another level. I mean, even if you watch a YouTube playthrough of it, I don't care. That's good enough. Just someone, please play this game. It's really worth it.
What's the name? It's Finding Paradise?
Yeah, Finding Paradise is the most recent installment, and I would definitely recommend To the Moon first because they kind of connect somewhat. Not 100%, but it would help to play the first one.
I have To the Moon, and if it makes you feel better, it's just sitting there. I will probably never play it.
Turn on YouTube one day when you're just laying down and just start watching. Just read and watch.
You know what's really funny about that is I don't know that I can recommend that Derek plays that game, and here's why. There are walking simulators that I can recommend he play, because I could be like, hey, listen, I know there's no combat, it's not super exciting, but you do like a good story and it's got a mystery. Like, I know some things that Derek really enjoys, right? Or the visuals is usually a big one. Hey, it's really, really pretty, right?
Yeah.
So To the Moon is not a pretty game. It has no combat system.
Nope.
There's really not a mystery to it. It's just this emotional, like, relational story. There's a little bit of a mystery.
I like the story a lot, but it does get mysterious as you go into the second game.
Yeah, you're right. It does a little bit. But,
hey, I just want to say that I have been influenced by our two guests, and I ended up buying Batman: The Enemy Within, but that's not really a surprise. I was going to eventually buy it, but they encouraged me to buy it now because they talked so positively about it.
Yeah.
But just before we got on the show, I got a message from Xbox saying that they sent me an email multiple times and they were sorry, so they credited me $5. So I went to their cell and I bought the Edith Finch game. I forgot the name. Sorry.
What remains?
So I got it for $8. So I'm gonna give that one a shot. If I hate it, I lost $8. But I'm hoping, because these two guys highly recommended it for story purposes, that I'll enjoy it.
I'll stand by that.
So if you hate it, then not only have you lost $8, but you've also lost all respect for Kyle, is what you're saying.
I already lost all respect for them.
We're one out of two, though, right? You enjoyed the first episode of Batman?
Batman was loved
good,
it.
Right?
I love that first episode.
So are you glad about the love we gave it on some of our rankings then? Because we did rank it on a couple things.
Yeah. It was fun. I like it.
Good.
It's a good start.
Well, at least episode 1. I haven't hit 2 or 3 yet.
Okay.
Sweet.
Alrighty. Well, let's get in. Now that we're kind of warmed up, we're starting to think about games from this year a little bit. It's time to start debating the best DLC or expansion of the year. So before we get into our picks, I'll let you guys take a look at the nominees on our shared spreadsheet there, and feel free to add if I'm missing anything. Our community picked, it seemed almost unanimous. Everything else was just kind of a 1 or 2 vote. It was Uncharted Lost Legacy by far won this one.
Okay.
Because it is technically part of the DLC content for Uncharted 4, right? Built on the same engine, connected in some ways storyline-wise, and some character stuff that's in there. So although we do treat it as a standalone game for overall game and some of the other categories, it is also included in DLC and expansion, almost unfairly so, I guess. But that one won the community vote by quite a bit, and I highly doubt that will be very low on our list as well. I think that's going to be pretty high up there.
For sure.
So there you go. So let's take a look at this list, and I'm going to have our guest Kyle read through our nominees for this category.
All right, we got Dark Souls 3, The Ring City, Darkest Dungeon, The Crimson Court, Destiny 2, Curse of Osiris, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, A Criminal Path, Diablo expansion, Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, Final Fantasy XIV, Stormblood, Forza Horizon 3, Hot Wheels, Guild Wars 2, Path of Fire, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Frozen Wilds, Nier expansion, Neo Bloodshed's End, Neo Defiant Honor, Neo Dragon of the North, Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Champion's Ballad, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, and XCOM 2 War of the Chosen.
A few of these, of course, you heard that I took the lazy route and just put the word expansion. I don't remember what the Neo one or the Nier one is called.
I'm reading up on Nier, and I think we should just take it off, because all it really is, it's not like story expansion. It's just extra costumes. DLC, like it's like outfits and stuff like that. You can fight the CEO. It's not like story driven.
Oh, there's some cool outfits though.
I would have been pretty excited if there was more story.
All right, we'll let Rudy and Derek look at the outfits later.
That's all I'm looking at.
I know there was a major Diablo 3 expansion this year, but I'm blanking out what it was called. But that was a pretty big one.
It was
Necromancer.
Yeah.
Was it called Rise of the Necromancer or something like that?
Rise of the Necromancer, yep. June 27th.
Okay.
The only other thing I see missing here, I don't know if anyone played it, but the Elder Scrolls Online came out with the Morrowind expansion. I didn't. I don't know if anyone played it, but just thought it was worth mentioning.
Oh, I wanted to. I've actually
I
I play Elder Scrolls Online off and on, so.
Okay.
Haven't gotten into that though.
Elder Scrolls Online, and what was it called?
Morrowind.
Cool. Okay, so we'll add that on there too, just so we can kick it back off since none of us played it. Okay. I didn't play Dark Souls 3, The Ringed City. Let's just start at the top here. Did any of you play it?
I did play it, and I thought it was phenomenal. Very good. Awesome new bosses. Super hard, just like you like it. Tim, I know you're a big Dark Souls fan. I thought it was a great expansion. I mean,
just like a silver mic. Super hard.
There it is. I was waiting for someone to say something about the microphone.
Not much more to say, and it adds quite a bit of content, too. So, overall, good package, I'd say.
All right, so Dark Souls 3 is likely a top 10 expansion piece.
I did not play it, but I love Dark Souls 3, so I'm not going to get mad about
it. Okay. What about Darkest Dungeon? That was one that our friend Robert Snow really liked. It had this new Crimson Court DLC come out. Did anyone happen to play it? If not, we probably need to kick it.
I haven't played the Crimson Court DLC, but I really like Darkest Dungeon. So
I got to get to that game.
Can't really speak to it.
It's an interesting little game. He actually made a video for us to walk us through why he liked it last year, and it was actually kind of interesting. Like, you could name your character, so he did. He named a bunch of people from the group and walked us through how it works and the battles and the strategy.
Cool.
And it looks like a pretty in-depth strategy game.
That's awesome. How you die a lot.
You go crazy a lot. Yeah, your characters go insane, and it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, sweet. Very cool. But I heard that game's coming to Switch, so you know what I'm
waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting to play anymore until baby's coming home on the Switch.
So I want to kick that one off simply because we can't talk about it. That seems to be a rule we've kind of stuck with if we don't have at least one person. Yeah. Did anybody play through the content of Curse of Osiris, the Destiny 2 expansion?
I did, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, I'm not.
I didn't like it that much either.
I'm not like going on.
It wasn't a very.
All right,
good
well, we might leave it on there. That way we can put it at the bottom of the list. We'll see. Okay. What about the Criminal Past DLC from Deus Ex: Mankind Divided?
I wish I could say I played it, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, me too. I really wish I got, because I even have the season pass and everything. I just once they said they're not going to do any more with the series, I was like, well, I don't.
That really took the wind out of the sails, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of killed it.
Yeah, this game in general, it bumps me out because I love this game so much and it just didn't get the attention it deserves. This DLC specifically, there was a 2-pack. The first one was decent. This one was really, really good. It was like self-contained in a
I'll tell you what, Mass Effect Andromeda gets crapped on a lot, and we all agreed that we liked it. I'll tell you another game that gets crapped on a lot, and that's Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. I see so many people.
It's so ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many people crap on this game. They hate it. They think it's dumb. They think the story's terrible.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's the biggest thing they complain about.
It's smart.
I loved it.
It's smart storytelling. I know that turns off.
It was good.
They took what the
Kyle just triggered everybody. He's like, it's real smart. So if you don't like it, you're not smart.
Yeah, that's not paraphrasing.
All right, so let me try to rein us back in here. Rudy, you have played a Criminal Past and you liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It's just to give an idea of why I like it. It basically takes what you do in the main game, but it moves it to a smaller scale, but it's done really smart, like in a really smart way. You're like contained in this prison the whole time, and there's a lot of side quests going on trying to accomplish your goal within this small area, but it's just done really well. It's a good story. So
okay.
So it's Arkham Asylum. Sounds good.
Yeah.
It goes from Arkham City to Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
All right. Did anyone play? I think all of us have at least played a little bit of Diablo 3. But did anyone play Rise of the Necromancer DLC?
I did not.
It's just a new character. There was no new.
Yeah, it's the same game, just a new character.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think that one can go.
So,
yeah,
we can get rid of
I'm leaving Death of the Outsider on the list because I know you guys liked it a lot.
That's a guaranteed top 5. Yeah.
Any ESO players on this panel that want to talk about Morrowind?
Can you talk about the game, Rudy? Because I haven't played it yet. I've
haven't played the DLC.
I haven't played it. I just wanted to mention it because I know it came out, but I haven't.
So it's worth mentioning. Same thing with Stormblood. Those are two MMOs that are very popular. I did play some Final Fantasy XIV back when they first relaunched it. Remember they did like the rebuild and relaunch, and it was really fun. I had a lot of fun. I played that with my cousin online for a little bit, and I really did like it. Just can't really commit to an MMO.
Yeah.
I know how frustrating it is when you have teammates who keep walking away or can't play for more than 20, 30 minutes at a time. And I'm that guy now. So anyway, so I don't do a lot of the MMO stuff. So I don't think you guys played Stormblood either, correct?
No, but I did play Final Fantasy 14 when it relaunched also, and it's fun. Wish I could have.
Very solid MMO, really fun, great.
It's really
great
good
game. I know Stormblood had some issues at launch, but I'm pretty sure now it's doing pretty well. I'm gonna leave Hot Wheels on here just because the images and video that I've seen of it look fantastic, and I know everyone loved the Forza Horizon 3 Hot Wheels DLC. Got a ton of love, and it looked really cool. I'm going to assume that Guild Wars 2 is in the same boat as ESO and Final Fantasy 14. None of us are
surprised the servers are still on for this game.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Guild Wars 2 is super fun. It's actually...
Well, no, not that it's bad. Like, it's been online forever. Like, Guild Wars 2 came out.
Right, it has. Yeah, Guild Wars 2 came out, probably 5 years ago, maybe. It's, probably 5 years ago.
Wow,
super... Maybe it was longer than that, but it's super good game. It's really fun. It's free. Right, so that's one thing that's good. That's nice about it.
I mean, that's why it stays on.
Probably, but Path of Fire is the expansion, but it's gonna have to come off the list because none of us played that. All right,
no.
Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Wilds is gonna be in our top 10.
Yeah,
I haven't gotten to it yet, but I've heard good things.
I haven't gotten to it yet, but I know it's good. So
I finished it. Yeah,
I played about I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours of it. Just started exploring the new area a little bit. Haven't gotten super far, but it is fun and really cool looking.
How long is it, Derek?
It took me probably 7 hours.
It's not
I didn't track it.
That's a nice chunk of.
It feels like a very, I don't want to say very long, but it feels like a side quest, which they even present it like a side quest, but it's definitely more fleshed out than your normal side quest. So it's probably 5 to 7 hours.
Yeah, when you buy it, you just fire up Horizon, and it has the Frozen Wilds logo on the menu screen, but you still load into your game like usual. There's just now a new person to go talk to launch this new quest. Takes you up to a new area you couldn't access before, and then there you go. You're off.
Cool.
Yep. All right. So that's staying on there. Can we get rid of all 3 of the Neo expansions because none of us played those?
Yeah, we have to.
I didn't.
I would probably be saying that I love them, but I didn't buy them, so I can't.
Bloodshed's End, Defiant Honor, and Dragon of the North. I'm not sure which order they came out in, but pretty impressive that they put out that much DLC. I just don't know anything about them.
Yeah, I don't know how big they are at all. I really wonder.
Yeah. This is by far our weakest in terms of knowledge category.
Yeah, definitely.
The Spectre of Torment's going to stay on there because I'm going to make it stay on there for Shovel Knight.
We should have just picked our personal top 3 DLC and expansion.
We're slacking.
Yeah, possibly, but hey, we've already started.
We're in the weeds now, so it's too late.
Yeah. Should we leave Champion's Ballad on there? Did you guys play enough of that one?
Yeah, I played
the Champion's Ballad, but I did play the Trials, and I think you can.
I didn't put the first one on there because it just seemed more like a few extra features, whereas Champion's Ballad actually seems like a legit DLC expansion.
Well, the first one caught me off guard because I thought at first that it was going to be kind of like you said, some new armor pieces, some new swords, whatever. But it actually was a little more substantial than that because of the Trial of the Sword mode.
It's a lot of
gameplay. That was like a big the big main mode the first pack introduced. But I think I enjoyed more than the second one, which is really weird. But
I'm gonna be honest.
We can make it.
How is the second pack? Because everything I've read on it, I'm like, I don't know if I want it.
Yeah, a lot of people are crapping on it. In my personal opinion, I think it's more Zelda. The shrines are better than the shrines in the main game, which is obviously a plus. But the problem is they recycle some of the Ganon bosses in the 4 dungeons, which I didn't like so much. And then they have you have to run through the last temple as a divine beast again, which wasn't as fun. But the last boss is really cool. So overall, the second pack I think is decent. It's all right. I thought the first one was better, to be honest. The Trial of the Sword stuff is really cool.
Why don't you add that? Because did anybody play XCOM 2 War of the Chosen?
I don't own it, but I have played it. I played it in a buddy's house. It's awesome. Really good.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, if we take that one off, we wouldn't have 10 anyways.
Well, then take it off, because I played enough to fight for it, so.
Okay.
What was the first Breath of the Wild one called? Trials?
I think it was Trials. I'll double check for you. Hold on.
Trials of the Sword?
I think. Trial of the Sword. I think that's what it was.
Trial of the Sword.
Yeah. I feel like it was it was a more fleshed out DLC pack than like some of this other stuff that we've kicked off.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
A little bit of an XCOM too, though. While we're off, you do like make nemesises and like. Ooh, that's not even.
I think it's Nemesi. Yeah.
Nemesi? Okay, yeah.
I have
Nemesi,
no idea.
And so it's kind of like Shadow of Mordor in that way. I don't know if there's like a nemesis system, but like you're making enemies at the beginning of the game to tease you the entire campaign.
Oh, your volume's starting to fade out there, Kyle.
Uh-oh. I was just saying, yeah, you have... Now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, now you're good.
Weird. Wonder if it's my connection.
You're good now.
Anyways, I was just saying that, yeah, you make enemies at the beginning of the game that taste you. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Same campaign. It just added more to it.
Okay. I do need to play XCOM 2. That's one I really do want to play.
Fun.
Yeah,
All right.
here.
Let's start ranking these things. I feel like stuff like Death of the Outsider, Hot Wheels, Lost Legacy, Frozen Wilds, I'm naming 4, Ringed City, and then for me, of course, Spectre of Torment. I mean, I'll be happy with that being like at 6. That's fine. But those are probably the ones that we're going to be battling over.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I think Destiny
feel like
2 needs to drop to the bottom.
Yeah, I feel like Destiny 2 can be at the bottom just so we can acknowledge that it exists. It is more Destiny 2 content. That is a fun game.
Just disappointing.
But that was not a great
Very
DLC pack,
disappointing.
according to most people.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, do you want to say anything about it before we just
No,
go past it?
it held my interest for like 2 hours, and I was like, okay, this is dumb.
Okay. All right, and a Criminal Past, Rudy. How high do you see this one going based on the other?
All right. So as much as I gushed about the Ring City, I like Criminal Past better than that. So I would put it way up
Wow.
there. It's a really, really good piece of DLC, man. Very impressive. So
Is that the one, Rudy, that you told? I know there's like 3 DLC for Mankind Divided.
Yeah.
Is a Criminal Past the one that you told me like you gotta play this, Derek?
Yeah, yep, that was the one.
Does it give like Adam Jensen's like story, like his
my
origin
God.
story?
It's so long ago now. Like, I'm having trouble remembering exactly what it's. I think it does delve into that a bit.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it does. It does have some flashbacks. I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
It's really good, man. When you get a chance, definitely check it out.
So then why don't we do Dark Souls 3 at 9? I would probably be pushing for it to be higher if I played it, just because I love the game. But
no one else played it. Yeah.
But I didn't play it, so.
Well, hang on, real quick, Rudy. Champion's Ballad from Zelda or Dark Souls 3 Ring City?
Nah, I'd put Dark Souls 3 above that. Above Champion's Ballad, but Trial of the Sword can be a little higher, I think.
All right, so 9 would be Champion's Ballad.
Yeah, put Champion's Ballad at 9. That works.
Okay.
I haven't played. Let's see, what is it? Hot Wheels. Is that a substantial? I don't even know anything about that. Is that like a?
It's like
What
fun.
is it?
Yeah,
It's like GTA Online did.
Gotcha.
It's really good. I
Okay.
mean, I would think it should be like top 5, but if
Okay.
I'm the only one that loved it, then that's fine. It can be pushed out.
I haven't played it. I just know a lot about it, and I thought it looked really awesome. So I'm just going based on an outsider view, thinking it looks really.
I mean, if you like Horizon Zero Dawn, Forza Horizon 3, then it's more of that, but it's like it plays the nostalgia game by bringing you back to your childhood, and it literally puts you on play sets, like these plastic play areas where you're going and doing loop-de-loops,
cool.
and you're doing big
like actual Hot Wheel tracks, which is super cool.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
So that's why I said, for me, I don't buy expansions for racing games. I never do. I bought this one because I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Trial of the Sword right at 6, and I'm gonna put Hot Wheels right at 5 for now. Not set in stone. Okay. All right, talk to me about Death of the Outsider compared to Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. 2 totally standalone games that technically were connected to their mainline games.
Right.
How did it compare? And those of you who played both, which one would you rank higher?
For me, go ahead, Rudy, and then I'll talk.
All right. I think I would put Uncharted higher just because I think there was more to do in Uncharted. Dishonored felt a little short. Like, what was it? Maybe like, I don't know, 5 hours long or so. How long was Uncharted? Maybe
The same.
I thought they felt about the same.
They were maybe comparable. I don't know.
Uncharted's
It also
6
depends
hours.
on.
Yeah.
It also depends on the difficulty in Dishonored because you got to sneak around and everything. I don't know, man. I love Dishonored a lot, but I'd probably put Uncharted right above it.
Okay.
See, I have Uncharted Lost Legacy as my #1 DLC and expansion, and then I have Dishonored Death of the Outsider as #2.
Yeah,
okay.
I could.
So you both are ranking Uncharted higher.
Yes.
So then, Rudy, based on what you're saying about Criminal Past, which, by the way, now you're getting me to really want to go back to Deus Ex.
I hope I don't get you guys' expectations up. Then you guys don't.
You're hyping me up, man. You're making me feel like
way
Kyle.
too late. Yeah, I'm full steam ahead. So
You're making me feel like Kyle, getting all hyped up about stuff. But would you put a Criminal Past above Death of the Outsider?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Or are those kind of a draw for you?
Man. Yeah, maybe I would, honestly. I think I might put that above Dishonored.
Wow.
Okay. That's a big
I'm
one.
gonna play it tonight. Like that's how hyped I am.
Please don't send me any hate mail if it doesn't.
Yeah, we're
live up to
gonna get like a
expectations.
midnight text message. I hate you.
I really enjoyed it, man. It was just awesome. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to put Spectre of Torment in at #7, knowing I'm not going to fight for any higher. It sounds like Frozen Wilds is going to land at 4, unless, Derek, do you have any issues with us putting a Criminal Past pretty high, even though only one of us have played it? Do you feel
I mean, to be honest with you, Frozen Wilds is more of the same, but I guess, different expectations for different games. When I play a Horizon game, after playing a game, there's only one, but the one I played had a great story. The DLC was, like I said, it felt like a side quest. It didn't feel like you were pushing anything forward. You just felt like you were doing something that distracted you for a little bit, and then you're like, peace out, let me get back to my journey. And so I'm fine with it being 4.
In canon, it does take place before the ending, too, so...
Yeah.
A continuation of the story or anything like that.
Wait, guys, just real quick, just to go along with my hype that I created without trying about this Criminal Past, I just want to mention that I did check, and it says that you're allowed, in the DLC, you experience Adam Jensen's first mission for TF-29. At some point, they do allow you to see that, so that's a little extra cool thing in it that I forgot about, so...
Okay.
Yeah, the funny thing is he hyped me up on this. It was Rudy that did this. And so I went and played my 3rd playthrough on PC because I bought the Season Pass on PC for cheap. And I went through the entire game and I was like, okay, now I'm going to go into the DLC. And then I just didn't do it. So I was like...
I think it's a standalone thing that you can go into in the main menu, I think.
It is, but I always do that. Like, if I'm starting on a new console, I won't jump straight into the DLC. I have to beat the game first.
You are OCD, my friend. All right, so Derek, what would you put higher? Would you put Frozen Wilds above Hot Wheels? Is that a good spot for it? Do you think Hot Wheels is okay?
I think Frozen Wilds is definitely deserving of top 4.
Okay. Well, that's where it's going to land. And as of right now, I'm thinking... Unless, Kyle, you haven't spoken to the Uncharted Lost Legacy yet. Is everyone feeling good about that being #1? That was my favorite.
I think it's deserving of 1.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, I don't know, based on what Rudy's saying, I'm way more interested to go back and try a Criminal Past than I am Death of the Outsider. That's just my personal...
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's better.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Death of the Outsider was awesome, and it did change up the character you play as, but at the end of the day, it is more... kind of like you guys, more of the same. You're sneaking through, you're finishing your missions. It's still really fun, but Deus Ex, it was completely different than what you do in the main game.
I will to sell Death of the Outsider. This game almost made my top 10. It actually was in my top 10, but as I kept playing more and more games, you'll see when I go through my top 10, a lot of games that I thought were going to be in my top 10 got pushed out, and that was one of them. But Death of the Outsider has one of the best missions I've ever played in a Dishonored game.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic mission. Kyle was talking about earlier, he likes smart games. It's a smart game. Dishonored is an extremely smart game. And in this particular mission, and all the Dishonored missions, but in this one in particular, the amount of options you have to get into this area and then what you do when you get in the area, I loved it. So it's my #2, but if you guys I'm not gonna cry if it's 3. You know, if you guys are more interested in the criminal pass.
I'm okay with that too. Honestly, the more you talk about like that specific mission, it really makes me kind of remember how cool.
Dude, when I finished that mission, I was like, this game's top 10, and then obviously I kept playing games. But
yeah, I'm okay just based on that fact, and then the fact that I'm the only one to play Criminal Pass. I'd be okay with Dishonored and then Deus Ex if everyone else is.
They've got pretty similar Metacritic reviews, but Death of the Outsider is a couple notches ahead on the average when you look at the 3 different platforms.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So we'll give Death of the Outsider the number 2 spot, and we will give Criminal Past, which is a surprise one for me. I didn't realize that was that good. Yeah. That's going to be number 3.
It's just great to see how many awesome DLC packs we got this year, though.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff this year. A lot of good stuff. All right, so starting from number 10, working our way up, Kyle, will you walk us through our top 10 best DLC or expansions this year?
Of course. Number 10 is Destiny 2 Curse of Osiris. Number 9 is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Champions Ballad. Number 8 is Dark Souls 3 The Ring City. Number 7, Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment. Number 6, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Trial of the Sword. Number 5, Forza Horizon 3 Hot Wheels. Number 4, Horizon Zero Dawn The Frozen Wilds. Those two shouldn't be right next to each other. That's just confusing. 3, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, A Criminal Past. Number 2, Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. Number 1, Uncharted, The Lost Legacy.
That's a good one.
Nice.
I think a lot of people will agree with that.
Did you almost say Forza Horizon 3 Frozen Wheels or something like that?
Yeah, it was all mixed up in my head. Yeah.
You don't move at all. Frozen Wheels.
Nice. All right, that's a good list, and yeah, that again, as scared as we get as consumers and as gamers about where microtransactions and all this other stuff is going, it is really cool to see that when some companies do it right, it can be a really great way to continue a game experience. So it's not always a bad thing. Not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Alrighty. Well, as of right now, as I'm looking at the next category here, I think the nominee list is pretty short. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to add some stuff. There's a lot more we could add on here that is not on the list. So take a look.
Yeah.
There is a incomplete but pretty good list on the far left on the A column there. I think there are some games missing, but feel free to use that if you need to for reference, and let's fill this thing out a bit. So while you guys are doing that, taking a look at that, I'll let you guys know our community votes. So the community also voted for, right now we're in best multi-platform game. You could also call it best third-party game, but that's a little misleading because some third parties have made games that were exclusive to a console and PC. Those don't qualify. So what qualifies for this is that it came out on on 2 or more of the major consoles. And by those I mean a Nintendo system, a Sony system, a Microsoft system. As long as it came out on 2 of those 3, then it counts as a multi-platform. Now, in a rare occasion where it came out on the 3DS and PS4 or something weird like that, that counts too. I just don't think there's many of those. I think usually it's going to be, most of these are PS4 and Xbox One games. That's usually what these are going to be. And they also probably came out on PC. So there are a few that include some Switch titles, but not many. So, and the thought process behind this, just so you guys know, is so we give some games that don't really have a chance to shine in a year like this on the overall top 10. And they also aren't included in the exclusives, right? So you had games that were able to get attention in the exclusives section for each console that really won't be given credit in the overall. So there's also these third-party games that are on multiple consoles that really won't stand a chance. An example I'll give to you would be something like Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. Little spoiler is I really don't think this is going to make our overall top 10 list. There's too many other good games.
It better.
Yeah, it better.
I don't think it's going to make our top 10 list. It might. We'll see what happens. But that being said, it definitely, I think it should be on our top 10 of multi-platform games.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's kind of the reasoning behind it, is to make sure that some of these other games get a chance to shine a little bit. So, all right. That being said, let's go ahead and have Rudy walk us through the nominees that we've got so far, and we might add them as we do, as we go along here.
All right.
So tell us what we got so far.
Okay, so we have Assassin's Creed Origins, Call of Duty World War II, Destiny 2, Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, Mass Effect Andromeda, Middle-earth, Shadow of War, Resident Evil 7, South Park, The Fractured But Whole, Star Wars, I always laugh when I say that, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, or Remains of Edith Finch, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, Tiny Metal, SteamWorld Dig 2, Evil Within 2, Rime, Injustice 2, Fortnite, The Surge, Sonic Mania, Prey, and it looks like some stuff is being added slowly but surely.
Okay, nice. And by the way, when you're saying the name of the South Park game, here's my advice. My advice is just to give it a little pause, right? So when you go to South Park, the fractured but whole, like you make sure that, but you guys all punch it in a way that's like it's the fractured butthole. Like it's like no, stop saying it like that. Just my little piece of advice to you.
No, that's good.
They want us to do that though.
Yeah, it's the nuance of the it's about the rhythm of talking, you know. All right. So let me get these organized a bit, but that is a good list. I do think there are others that, you know, we could list, right? You could really build this thing out with tons of games. You could add in some racing games and sports games that came out. We're actually saving ourselves some time by not doing that because I don't think F1 2017, as highly rated as it was on Metacritic, I don't think we're going to vote for that. So like FIFA 18, we're not putting on this list, but to be fair, that's kind of because none of us really would rank it that high compared to some of these others. So I'm okay with not listing every multi-platform game, but if something is missing that's a glaring omission, be sure to throw it out there here.
Ben, it's
too far in.
It's interesting to see this multi-platform list and see how many of my top 10 are not on this list because there's so many are exclusives.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's why this went from being who cares? We got enough categories to being this is actually an important category.
Yeah,
there's a lot of games that aren't going to get talked about. So, okay. I'm going to say for right now that games like Assassin's Creed, Destiny 2, those are safe, right? I'm just going to those are safe for now.
Mass Effect.
Let me ask you real quick, Derek, about Call of Duty World War II. Based on what you've played of it, you talked a little bit a while ago about the acting and stuff like that. Is this game worthy of a top 10 multi-platform spot?
No.
Let's see here. Is anyone going to fight for Evil Within 2 to stay on a top 10 list?
I wouldn't, like, if there was stiff competition, I wouldn't. I just don't know how many of these are going to be eliminated. I think we should keep it.
Let's hang on to it.
Yeah.
Let's hang on to it for a second. What about Sonic Mania? Which let's be honest, that game got great reviews. I've heard it's really fun on the Switch, but is it really much more than just a fun compilation of old school Sonic?
No,
stuff?
it's the best Sonic game in a long time, but it's still I don't think it hangs with these other games. So
okay, I'm taking Sonic Mania out.
Okay.
What about Prey?
I'm not going to fight for it.
I personally thought this game was great.
Okay. Rudy doesn't want to let anything go, you guys. Rudy's a game hoarder.
Hold on to everything.
Yeah, Rudy's a game hoarder. Everybody.
Rudy, please mention a game that you don't like.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to hear one
game that I don't like. We can take... I played The Surge a little bit. I thought it was okay. I really didn't think it was that great at all. So
I think it's got to go. I added it because it was on... like the bottom of my list, and I was like, "Oh, it's third party. It should be on there." But yeah, I agree. It's not very good.
It's okay.
The Surge is out.
Star Wars Battlefront 2. Unless Kyle wants to fight for that one, I don't think
I'm not fighting for that game now.
That was going to be my next suggestion. So yeah, that one can go too. I'm going to fight for some of these smaller ones to stay as long as they can. Things like I don't think Tiny Metal is going to make it, but I don't want it to go just yet. I do think SteamWorld Dig 2 deserves a spot on the top 10 list. So
good game.
I really don't want that one to go. I want a solid indie game, which has been a great year for indie games, to be represented on this list, and I think that's the one to be on here.
Might be the only one on here besides what remains of Edith Finch and Tiny Metal, maybe.
Kyle, talk about Fortnite a bit, because I know that you're really the only one who really liked it a lot.
Right, and I'm looking at all these other games, and I don't know if it belongs in the 10. Looking at all these other games, I think it's just. I think we could keep it now, but it's going to get squeaked out later. So
okay. Okay. Dishonored has been talked about in such high regard. I'm just going to leave it there for now as well. What did Derek say about Call of Duty?
It needs to go.
Okay.
Call of Duty can go.
Call of Duty is gone. Okay, based on what's been trimmed out so far, when we're looking at games that to me that are kind of on the cusp, Tiny Metal, Edith Finch, Rime, Prey, Fortnite.
You know what? Rime was a decent game. It deserves some attention, but I don't think it needs to stay.
Yeah, I don't think it's top 10 worthy.
What about Injustice 2? Do we need to finally acknowledge some sort of fighting game in our
I think it's
debates?
As far as quality, I think it's worthy.
For quality, yeah.
The problem is it's going against a ton of great games. I think we should leave it for right now, and try to eliminate some of these other ones like Tiny Metal. Like Tiny Metal? Seriously? Like,
all right.
Get out of here.
Tiny Metal's going. Hey, I'll say it one more time though. That game is amazing.
Yeah, it looks
Go play
good.
Tiny Metal.
We know, Tim. Just get it out of here.
I know. Okay, so I know you guys expressed some good things about Wildlands. I'm assuming there's people who want to keep that game on this list.
I do.
It doesn't need to be in my top 10, but I do like it.
Yeah, I didn't mess with it much. Thought it looked okay, but
I was trying to kill the Predator all the other weekend and didn't go too well for me. So
gotcha. Okay,
it's a really awesome game.
All right, so we're down to 15. Now we need to get 5 more out. I'm going to suggest we get rid of Fortnite out of these 15.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not a fan of Fortnite.
How about South Park compared to the first one? I played a bit of South Park, the new one, and I thought it was fun. It felt like more of the same. They kind of revamped the battle system, which I thought was cool. Besides that, it's not a game that was like super drawing me in. I think it's a good game. I didn't think it was great so far though, but I don't know if any other.
It's high in my top 10 of the year. So.
Oh, okay.
I only played like 30 minutes and it didn't hook me. Like I thought it was funny, so I'm not blaming the game.
Right.
It didn't hook me because there was a ton of other stuff that released when it came out.
That's what happened.
So I'm sure when I play it, I'll like it, but I can't speak for it now or say that I want it on the list because I don't, because I didn't play it enough.
Okay. Well, either way is fine then. I feel like I need to speak more about Prey because I feel like all you guys are thinking like that freaking game needs to go.
Derek played it. He just got frustrated with it.
Right.
But you're the one who enjoyed it.
I don't know, man. I think that game's great. It has great atmosphere. I like the story a lot.
I liked it. My issue with it is I felt like, and again, maybe it's user error, but I wasn't the only person to run into this.
Right.
I feel like it was just too hard. Like, and what I mean by hard, like, the enemies were hard, but I hit a point in the game where I had no ammo. Yeah. I had no way of getting ammo because I had no currency. I couldn't loot anything. Everywhere I was walking, there was nowhere to loot. I'm like, I literally can't go anywhere. So every room I was going into, I was dying. I was like, this game is dumb. Like, I hate you. So, do I think it's a quality game? Yes. But do I think it's too hard? Yeah. I think they made it way too hard.
I completely understand where you're coming from. That game can definitely screw you if you don't, if you kind of trip up on, okay, where do I want to put my points into with my stats? There's like certain stats they make it way easier. But yeah, I get that frustration. So,
well, I mean, Wolfenstein 2, which we haven't talked about yet,
similar.
I think it has to stay on the list, but that really had issues, I thought, with a balanced difficulty.
I thought so too.
I don't think they balanced
it was difficult, but
it was so fun.
It's like Rudy's talking about. Prey feels old school. Like, if you screw up and you don't, like, you're never going to run out of ammo in Wolfenstein 2.
No, you won't. You're just dying because
keep retrying.
Yes. I'm not dying because the game's too hard. I'm dying because I literally either I mismanage things or I've ran out of things. And so I'm wandering around places going, first of all, you're lost in this game a lot. Like, it's not like
I have
a game that says, go here. And so, I have a terrible sense of direction. So I'm lost a lot. And then I'm wandering around, and there's not a ton to loot. So Wolfenstein 2 and Prey are different. Wolfenstein 2 is hard, but you're never going to get to a point where you're stuck. Because even if you get stuck, you just lower the difficulty. Prey, you can lower the difficulty. It's still hard if you don't have ammo. Like, you're not going to survive.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm okay with taking it off after that being said. I will say, though, like, for example, there's an early skill that you can get that lets you loot, for example, like the aliens. And if I missed out on that, and for a while I was in the same boat as you, like, what the hell? Why can't I loot anything? So I understand that. That's a good point. So that's okay.
I'll have to check and see if I got that skill. I probably didn't, because that's another thing. I was overwhelmed by how much stuff you can unlock, and I didn't know what to do. So I screwed it up. I'm not going to sit here and blame the game for everything. I screwed it up, but it's a way more difficult than I thought it was going to be going into it.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm looking at our 14 remaining games, there's 4 that I'm eyeing as I don't know that they need to be on our top 10 based on our conversation so far and how I know we're going to fight for these other games.
Well, what about What Remains of Edith Finch? Are they?
Yeah, why don't we cut
What
Remains of Edith Finch and keep South Park?
Yeah, would y'all really fight for that? Damn it, Rudy. Please hate a game. Please just hate a freaking game.
I just gave up Prey.
That's true.
I don't know. I guess what were we trying to do? Remains of Edith Finch and switch it with South Park? Is that what we're trying to do?
I think South Park is a better game than Shadow of War, to be honest, but that's just me.
Whoa.
Yeah, Tim and Derek, why don't you guys talk about Shadow of War a little bit?
Dude, Shadow of War needs to be on this.
Shadow of War is awesome, and I think it needs to be on this list, but if we're talking like my personal 10, one of those games are on my list, the other is not. So.
Kyle's basically saying that game needs to be on there.
Okay,
I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to fight him.
There are a lot of people out there who like this game.
I'm not going to fight him on that.
Should we, just on a technicality, should we make space in this list by getting rid of Death of the Outsider since it just got love with the expansion? Should we make space?
Let's get rid of Death of the Outsider.
Oh,
not because it's not a good game.
I'll give up Edith Finch. We can't do that. Come on, man. We can't take out Death of the Outsider. That game's too good.
I was only gonna get rid of it for the same logic Tim was using, and that it's
just as a technicality.
It's more of a
listen. Edith Finch is a really good story, but South Park is funny and it has good gameplay and everything too. So I'm okay with putting that back on, taking off Edith Finch. Although
so
I personally think
Edith Finch coming off the list.
I think Evil Within 2 is on the same level as South Park, but I'm okay with that.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, that's why I didn't delete them. I just kind of moved them down and said these are ones that I think we're kind of going back and forth on.
Right.
Before I move South Park back into that list, I'm looking at Injustice 2 as well. That game had an 89 Metacritic average. People love that game. As far as fighting games go, of course, it was winning awards. Have you guys played it? And do we need to put it on here just kind of out of obligation, or have we kind of moved past that in our discussion so far, and we can't really justify that?
I think with the amount of I think we're hitting a wall. I think Injustice 2 has to go just because I wouldn't be willing to put it on to take off another game. The only one I would get rid of is SteamWorld Dig 2, but I'm sure you guys are going to fight for that.
Yes, we are.
But other than that, I wouldn't replace Injustice 2 with any of those games.
I shouldn't speak for Rudy on that one. Rudy, SteamWorld Dig 2 belong on there above Prey and Evil Within 2 in your mind?
I love SteamWorld Dig, but I don't think that. But, you got to give and take in these discussions, so.
Okay, so let's leave it up to you.
If you're saying that you would leave it off the list based on what else is on here, then I'm the only one then fighting for SteamWorld Dig 2, and I'm not sure I can win that fight against Prey and Evil Within 2. I don't know.
Gotcha. I would pick the Evil Within 2 over SteamWorld Dig 2. I played enough of that to know I like that way more than I would ever like SteamWorld Dig 2.
Yeah, I kind of agree with him, to be honest.
Never played either of those games, so I can't really chime in at all right now.
SteamWorld Dig 2 is one of the most fun, charming little games of the year.
I tell you what. As a friend, I'm going to let you take SteamWorld Dig 2 and go put it with its buddy, Tiny Metal, or wherever the hell that is, and they can hang out together in Switchville. But let's get to the real list and get rid of that crap game.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
That was harsh.
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah, I feel bad about cutting the only indie on the list, but I haven't played the game, so.
All right, you know what?
It's a solid.
This is what I'm going to do. How about that?
Yeah. Number one.
How about I just went ahead and put SteamWorld Dig 2 at the number one spot in our ranked list. That's
Yeah, that's great.
Kyle doesn't have an opinion one way or the other.
He does stupid stuff.
Derek, between Prey and Evil Within 2, which one would you pick there?
Evil Within 2.
And Rudy? Oh, Rudy, you got his headset off.
Say that again?
Rudy, between Prey or Evil Within 2?
Evil Within 2.
Okay. Well, then it sounds like that one needs to go on the list, guys.
Okay.
Poor SteamWorld. I don't know. I feel sad about that.
Stop feeling sad.
I fought for South Park and no one wanted that, and we're just murdering, SteamWorld Dig.
Hey, I sent it to go be with its buddy Tiny Metal. It's fine. Its feelings are not hurt.
There are enough games on here that I really liked that I would kick off SteamWorld before, so I can't really complain. Like I want Andromeda, Origins, Shadow of War, and New Colossus. I want all those games on here really badly above SteamWorld Dig 2. So I'm not hurting too bad, but boy.
And we haven't talked about. I'm just saying. I know it's already on the list, but we haven't mentioned Resident Evil. I just want to say that game top 5.
Yeah,
just saying.
I'm with you, Rudy.
Yeah.
Well, we are okay. So we are down to 10 games now. We have painfully eliminated a number of games,
Sorry, Seymour.
and now we are down to Assassin's Creed Origins, Destiny 2, Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, Mass Effect Andromeda, Middle Earth: Shadow of War, Resident Evil 7, Evil Within 2, Ghost Recon Wildlands, South Park, and Wolfenstein 2.
Solid.
Well, I think, to be fair and stay consistent with what we've done, the last game that we fought to put on the list should probably be 10, and I think that's Evil Within 2.
Or South Park was on the cutting edge.
And then South Park would be 9 then by that logic too, right? I mean,
at least they got on the list.
just for now. We can move
it
it up. We can move it up. Kyle, let me ask you about your thoughts on Ghost Recon Wildlands so far. Is that something that you would have, and does an 8 spot make sense to you? Would you have it higher based on what you played?
Yeah, I mean, 7 and 8 kind of makes sense when I'm eyeballing these other games. It's a really good game, but it really relies on you having a good team.
I think it should be ahead of Death of the Outsider.
I'm okay with that.
I haven't played it, so I can't say.
Okay, can we put Death of the Outsider down at 8 because it did squeak in as technically an expansion? And
yeah, I'm okay with
I don't know. Okay.
That's fine.
And the fact that it's a much shorter game, too, I don't know. That's not always a knock on something, but that just sounds like it's less of a standalone than I originally
It's maybe
thought.
like a 5 or 6 hour game, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe a little longer.
I would say, just to clarify, it still feels like its own game. Like how I was describing Horizon Wildlands, that feels like a side quest. Death of the Outsider feels like its own story within that universe.
Okay.
So they did a good job with it.
All right, well, I personally have Andromeda, Origins, and New Colossus in my top 3, top 4 type range. Shadow of War, for me, would probably land at 4 or 5, but I'm okay with it being at 7 at this point, since we still have Resident Evil 7 and Destiny 2 to squeeze in there.
Okay.
What do you guys think about
I think Destiny 2 needs to drop down a little bit.
Yeah,
wait, say it again, Derek?
I was going to say, I'm with Rudy on Destiny 2, and I think Wildlands should be 7 and 6. So Wildlands 7, Destiny 2 6.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
How about? Yeah. How do you guys feel?
Let's talk about Destiny 2 just real quick.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that game. It's not something that it's not on my personal top 10. It actually got, just similar to what Derek described earlier, it actually got bumped out of that top 10 as I played other stuff this fall. But it was a really fun experience while it lasted.
Good game.
Yeah, I had a fun time, man.
It is.
And we acknowledged a few discussions ago. We acknowledged that it's one of the prettiest games of the year too. So it's really fun. That feels great to play. It has a great villain, an improved story. There's lots to like about it, but it's just kind of up against it this year.
There's a lot of, you know what it is when you think of Destiny 2 in the scope of what that game is all about. You know, you beat the story, then you get to the end game stuff and everything. They backtrack a lot on that aspect. That's my main problem I have with it. They run out of stuff. It's worse than Destiny 1 in some aspects, which is kind of boggles my mind that they were able to do that. That's the only reason why I was disappointed with it. I do agree with the improvements they made.
So we're putting Wildlands above Destiny 2, you think?
Well, I was just typing it in because it got erased.
Oh.
I'm fine with switching those 7 and 6. I don't care.
Okay, yeah, Wildlands is super fun. It's one of the more fun, more enjoyable.
I mean, I like Wildlands a lot, but I actually put more hours into Destiny 2.
Same.
So I don't want to knock. I don't want to knock Destiny 2 too much, but I would think Destiny 2 fits great at 6 and Wildlands at 7.
I think
those
so
are a
too.
draw for me, so I'm okay either way.
Okay.
Derek, talk a little bit. You're one of the guys, and I think Kyle, you too. You guys have both played Shadow of War and Resident Evil 7. You both played both of those games. Are you both putting Resident Evil 7 above Shadow of War?
I mean, that's tough. I would.
They're very different games. I recognize this. So this is
very
kind
different
of a weird
games. I mean, I'll probably put more hours into Shadow of War, and I'll probably go back and play that one more. But Biohazard is definitely the game I'm thinking about more at the end of the year.
It's just
I agree with Kyle. Like, I beat Resident Evil 7 twice. Shadow of War I beat once, but I've already put more hours into Shadow of War just because of the way the game's designed.
Yeah, it's a lot more design stuff too.
But hours don't matter. I think Resident Evil 7 is the better game.
I think so too.
Definitely. How do we feel?
What about Shadow of War at 5? Oh, by the way, Shadow of War versus Andromeda.
I would vote Andromeda over Shadow of War.
Me too. Okay.
I'll be honest with you, Wolfenstein 2 is the lowest ranked on the ones that are left for me. So I don't care about that game.
This is a hard one, but I love Wolfenstein 2, but I do think that Resident Evil 7 is a better game.
Yes.
So you guys had both put what about you, Kyle? Resident Evil 7 over Wolfenstein 2?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Now wait,
interesting.
Before we keep going, though, you guys, I'm assuming, all feel that Assassin's Creed should be what, top 2? Is that what we're leaning towards?
I'm not gonna be resistant against that, but
yes,
because I haven't played.
That's where it's headed.
I'm looking at it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
of these games that are left, it's my personal top pick.
Okay.
Of the multi-platform games, and it wasn't at first. By the time I got to the end of that game and had done a ton of stuff in it, I was like, "Wow, this is really, really impressive." The time they took with Assassin's Creed, that franchise, to pause and make this game paid off big time, and it really delivered.
Great.
All right, so
we talked a little bit about how some of the NPCs are, disappointing and things like that. It didn't deliver on every aspect, but I think it is the better game than Shadow of War.
It is.
I think it's a better game than Andromeda, and I compare these because they're all kind of that third-person action RPG adventure kind of a mix.
Right.
It's not better than Andromeda. You're screwing it.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. I think Andromeda is the better game.
Can we? If I'm hearing everybody correctly,
Wolfenstein's at 5.
Well,
or no, Shadow of War 5.
Shadow of War at 5, and then I was gonna say, is Tim cool with Wolfenstein 2 at 4?
Wolfenstein at 4 is a good spot for that game. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, this is weird for me because I personally liked. Only other game I played out of these left is RE7 and Mass Effect. I didn't play the other two, and so I can't really say. But if it was up to me, I'd put Resident Evil 7 and Mass Effect at the top. But I know you guys are not going to agree with that, obviously. So I guess we can do what we will with those.
That's so. If we're just looking at it objectively here, then it sounds like Mass Effect has the most votes for the top. So now it's going to come down to Kyle and Derek. Do you agree with Rudy about Mass Effect versus Resident Evil? Right now we're looking at Assassin's Creed landing at 2 or 3. Although for me personally, it's number 1.
Right.
But if you guys are both saying Andromeda's better, then it kind of depends on what you both think about Resident Evil 7.
So Kyle, give your top 3, and then I'll give my top 3.
How I would order it, this is rough, guys. How I would order it for me, it would be Mass Effect, Resident Evil, and Assassin's Creed. But I would be totally happy with Assassin's Creed too. Also, I think it's a major achievement for that studio.
Your audio is really going up and down.
It's so weird.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it almost sounds like you're talking through a pillow during certain.
I think it's when Kyle moves. When he does this, when he's moving, it goes out.
It's like all of a sudden the audio just cuts out.
Weird. Anyways, yeah, I would choose Mass Effect and then Resident Evil, then Assassin's Creed.
Okay. What about you, Rudy?
Again, not having played Assassin's Creed, I would do Resident Evil, Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed.
So you're Resident Evil first. Kyle's Mass Effect first. Derek, where are you landing?
Mass Effect is number 1. Assassin's Creed is 2. Resident Evil's 3.
So what did we have there? We had 3 was Resident Evil one time. The other time, what did Kyle put third? Assassin's Creed. And then Derek put...
I think we gotta, by the way we're listing this, I think Mass Effect has to be 1. Because it got 2 1 votes and it got 2 2 votes, so it's got to be number 1.
It's my second of these, right? So I go Origins, Andromeda, and then what I know of RE7, right?
Yeah.
So I think Mass Effect wins, Assassin's Creed is second, and Resident Evil's third.
Okay, fair enough.
That's perfect. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, I'm shocked Resident Evil 7 is this high. I'm glad you guys were on the show. I didn't expect.
I just love that. I just love that game. Playing the DLC,
amazing. Yeah, I swore off like you're gonna probably laugh at me, Rudy, but I swore off survival horror games after Evil Within 1. I was just like, man, I can't wrap my head around this game. It's too hard. Like I can't make any progress in this game. I'm never playing like this genre again. And then this game came out.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Nah, it was just so well done, and the DLC made me remember how awesome it was too.
Well, and you know what I like about Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil in general over the Evil Within so far, because I think the Evil Within games are good. They're too long. Like this is just me. In those genre, I don't want to be in the game for 15 to 20 hours. I want to be in the game at max 7 to 10 because I'm creeped out the entire time I'm playing it. So I don't want the experience to last forever.
I'm on edge, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like nerve-wracking.
So Resident Evil 7 was awesome because I got through it. The first playthrough was like 8 hours. Well, when you know everything, the second playthrough flies, and that's why I was able to beat it the second time with no problem.
And it's creepy as hell, man. Those first 2 hours are so over the top.
I screamed out loud multiple times during that game.
That game gives you anxiety.
Big old screams.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. All right, well, so then, Rudy, why don't you bring this one home? This is Best Multi-Platform Game of 2017. I like this list a lot. Of course, we'd all have really slightly different variations. There's some games that were kicked off that we would probably have on there, but overall, pretty solid list. Why don't you give us the rundown, 10 to 1?
All right, 10, Evil Within 2, 9, South Park, The Fractured, Butthole, 8, Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, 7, Destiny 2, 6, Ghost Recon Wildlands, 5, Middle Earth, Shadow of War, 4, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, 3, Resident Evil 7, 2, Assassin's Creed Origins, and 1, Mass Effect Andromeda. Oh, man, some people's heads would explode if they saw Mass Effect #1 on our list.
I know.
I'm excited about that.
I'm okay with it. I don't really care about other people's feelings. So
yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
I'm with you. All right, that is a good list. Okay. All right. Well, we are going to jump in to, like we said, the granddaddy of them all. Best overall game of 2017. The reason that we did individual consoles and then multi-platform and this kind of stuff was to kind of gear us up to show how many good games there were. It was tough to make top 10s for several of those.
Sure.
Now we have to filter out even more of those off our overall list. If I thought it was tough to even talk about a game like Tiny Metal or SteamWorld Dig 2, I'm not even going to get a chance to mention them on this list because I know they're going to get kicked off if they're on there immediately, and I don't think
that was what I was going to say. Is anything that didn't make third-party top 10, that's third-party on this, shouldn't even be talked about.
Yeah, so before we even go through this, I think we should do what you just said, and that is kind of get rid of some ones we just eliminated. So, like Call of Duty, and I'm just going to mention out loud before we delete them. So, Call of Duty is going to go. Let's see here. Injustice 2 is going to have to go, right?
Yep.
Yeah, get rid of it.
Yeah.
MLB The Show is going to have to. Oh, wait, that was on our top 10 of Sony, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it's going to go, but it wasn't in our third party.
It's not an automatic kick. Let's leave it there for right now.
Yeah.
Prey's got to go. Yep. Star Wars has to go.
Mm-hmm.
Sundered, I don't think made our top 10, did it? Didn't you guys kick it off, even though I wanted it? Sony list? I can't remember.
I think we
Yeah, Sundered didn't make it.
Sundered didn't make it. What Remains of Edith Finch got kicked off.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's got to go.
did.
So we're going to trigger some of our indie game fans because we're not giving that any love except for maybe what in the story mode we gave it some love. All right. So there we go. Let's now we've trimmed it down a little bit to give us a head start on this thing. I'm going to have my co-host and indie hater friend, Derek, walk us through the nominees we have so far for Best Overall Game.
All right, so we've got Assassin's Creed Origins, Cuphead, Destiny 2, Forza 7, Golf Story, Halo Wars 2, Hellblade, Horizon Zero Dawn, Mario plus Rabbids, Mass Effect Andromeda, Middle Earth Shadow of War, MLB The Show 17, Nier Automata, Neo, Persona 5, Pyra, Resident Evil 7, Snipper Clips, South Park, I'm not reading the rest, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Wolfenstein 2, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Right.
And did we include Death of the Outsider? Did I miss that one?
It is not. It should be on here, but it's not.
Yeah, we got to mention that one.
I'll move it over. I'll move it over. Just give me a second. Okay, so let's start going through and making a case to remove some. We have about 15 or so we got to get rid of.
This is going to be tough.
16.
I'm going to start with Snipper Clips. I know y'all like it, but it's not top 10 worthy.
It's not Game of the Year worthy.
It is not on the overall top 10 list, no. So we can
what about Splatoon 2? No one was really speaking too highly of that one.
Yeah, that's got to go.
Get them out of here.
We're attacking Nintendo right out of the gate. I'm going to go ahead and self-remove. I'm going to self-remove Golf Story because I know that one won't make it. So
Halo Wars 2 can go.
Yeah, that won't make it.
Hell Trash. No, I'm just kidding.
Hell Trash needs to go.
We're gonna hold on to that one for as long as we can. I think.
Just hang on to it for a second.
Don't worry, me and
Can
Derek will get out
Forza,
of there
Forza
eventually.
Motorsport 7 go?
We can get rid of that. It's not going to make top 10.
It's got to go.
MLB
The Show.
Get rid of. Is it going to happen, guys? Yeah.
MLB The Show and Forza can both go, right? We're not going to put those.
Yeah,
on there.
those are going to go.
Okay.
I don't want Pyro on there.
Nah, come on, guys. That's too much. Can't do that yet.
That's too much.
That's fair.
I gotta be honest. I fought for Pyre in a couple other categories because I knew it's not in my top 10.
The hammer's gonna come down on me this time.
Yeah, so I'm not. You're fighting all by yourself on this one since you left me out to hang with SteamWorld.
Well, I think Pyre's a better game than Hellblade. I'll say that much. So when I see Hellblade,
I'm gonna agree with you, but it's not gonna be top 10. Neither is Hellblade. I know Tim's gonna talk about it, but he knows it's not top 10. It's not gonna be top 10.
Okay. Well, put it in the maybe possibility. Just like leave it hanging somewhere around it.
Make Rudy feel good for like a half a second.
If it makes you feel any better,
Rudy,
I'm
if you're listening to this show, Pyra is trash, and you like trash, Sasan. I just want to make sure you understand that if you do listen to our show. If you don't, then I'm just talking to myself.
Can we get rid of South Park from this top 10 list?
Yeah, why not? Let's go get rid of that.
I think
Kyle, I would fight for you if I had played it. Just like
y'all are talking about just playing like the first bit, like the first 3 hours of that game is all set up and not very good. Like, it takes a while to get into it. So
I think Neo needs to come off this list. I don't think it's top 10 material.
Yeah,
I love Neo. But I think with the amount of games, I want to hold on to it, but I just don't think there's anybody in my pocket that would vote.
I really like it, but it's not on my personal top 10 either, so I can't really fight for it.
What's number 7 right now? Because it's like bleeding over into it. I don't want to mess with it and screw anything up, though.
Oh,
yeah,
hang on 1 second.
The list is getting messed up.
Someone resized the things. Hang on a second.
Okay. There we go.
And that's because I did that because I didn't know I was messing with y'all's screen. I thought I was just redoing mine. All right, because it's all screwed up on mine. Like I can't see both sides. So let me stretch this out. There we go.
Derek, we're sharing. Okay, you have to share.
Sharing is caring, and what did I just say? I don't care.
Can we take Dishonored: Death of the Outsider off this top 10 overall list?
It's gotta go.
Yes, but we have to
keep
Cuphead. We have to keep
Cuphead.
We have to keep Cuphead on. That game is phenomenal. So
I'm not gonna fight to remove Cuphead yet. I don't. It's not in my personal top 10, as you guys have heard me talk about. But I know that Kyle and Rudy both loved it, and it's worthy of attention. So I'm not gonna fight to kick it off yet. But I have a feeling it's gonna come down to games like that and Hellblade, and to me, it's So we'll have to start thinking about that. I don't know if it's on my personal top 10. Do we feel good about keeping Shadow of War on here, or do you guys?
It's pretty high up on my top 10.
It's in my top 10.
Okay, how about Mario and Rabbids? I love that game, but it's not on my top 10.
That's in my top 10.
It is in my.
I know it's in your top 10. So Kyle, is it in your top 10? Is it?
It is
worthy?
not. Mario is not now.
All right.
Mario and Rabbids. That is.
Oh, you guys are crazy.
All three of us.
I like it. I think it's a great game.
No, I think it's
a
an
stuffed
awesome
year,
game,
and it's not going to make the cut for me.
It's not in my top.
Now
you know how I feel. I got Pyre and Prey cut in the first 30 seconds.
Well, and I love Ghost Recon, but I think Ghost Recon's got to go. It's just not.
Yeah, Ghost Recon's got to go.
I told you it wasn't going to make. See, that's why I used it as an example because I knew this would happen.
Yeah, it's a good
Destiny
example.
2's got to go.
Oh, Destiny 2. Yeah, I don't think that makes
Get it out of
10.
there. Yeah, get it out of there.
So, Derek, you would kick off Destiny 2 before you would kick off Neo.
Yeah, on my top 10, Neo's ranked higher than Destiny 2.
And what about, I have trouble kicking off Destiny 2 with games like Cuphead still on there.
Well, I agree with you.
But why is that? Just because it's a smaller kind of game? I mean,
no, not because it's small. Listen, you're talking to the guy who wanted SteamWorld Dig 2 on there.
I know.
Like, Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just
like
feel
Golf
like
Story
Cuphead-
is in my personal top 10. So I
feel
like
like-
a good small game. I just think Cuphead, I'll just say it. I think it's overrated as a game. It's gorgeous as a visual. It is overrated as a shoot 'em up game. I've played 5 or 6 shoot 'em up games this year
Right.
alone. Even the re-release of Rive from last year, much better shoot 'em up game than Cuphead.
Let
is.
me
I think
just say
Cuphead-
this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
And I want to make sure I'm clear. Rudy and Kyle are not fanboys at all. But I agree with Tim, and I don't usually like to say games are overrated. I do feel like a game like Cuphead is overrated because it's one of the big Xbox gets.
One of the
It's one of the
It really
few
is,
games
this
that they
year's,
have. And so,
Oh,
like
yeah.
I said, Kyle and Rudy, they don't have any arm in that race for,
Sure.
oh, we got to have an Xbox exclusive on here. But
Yeah.
I do feel like the game is overrated because of that.
I
That
totally
being
agree.
said, and I'm going to trigger all of you, that's how I feel about Nier Automata. I feel like it's overrated because it's a PlayStation game. Screw off.
I think, okay, so what you said about Cuphead, I think there is definitely some truth to that, but I think that same argument could be applied to the other systems too. Like some games are just decent. I just personally think what Cuphead is trying to do, I think it just nails it. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The bosses are really well done. It's like a bullet hell game. A lot of people don't like that, but if you do like it, I'd say it does it really well.
I do like a good bullet hell game. I just it
I know
doesn't
you do,
control-
yeah,
It just
yeah.
doesn't control well for me. Like when I play other ones, I have so much more fun. See,
Sure.
I think it's an interesting comparison to something like Mario plus Rabbids. Both of them
Right.
have a very charming aesthetic style, very unique, and it's impossible to say they're ugly to look at. Right? They're very
they're
cool
both
looking.
good-looking
Yeah.
games.
Definitely.
And they both have a very unique genre that they're going after. I think Mario plus Rabbids nails a very fun version of a turn-based strategy. I think Cuphead falls on its face when it comes to an actual shoot 'em up gameplay. I don't think it plays very well.
All right,
So that's why I
think-
would fight for Mario plus Rabbids to stay on there a little bit longer, and I'm okay with Cuphead going, even though I do feel bad that we kicked off Forza 7, Halo Wars 2. But if I'm just keeping Cuphead because it looks pretty and I feel bad for Microsoft, that's a weird reason to keep it.
Well,
Of
right
course.
now we have 2 people that don't want Cuphead on. So really, the person we got to talk to is Kyle. If Kyle doesn't see it as a top 10 game, then it's got to go.
Rudy, I don't mean to Julius Caesar you right now, but Cuphead and Mario plus Rabbids right now can both go in my
Okay, fair enough.
I think
for
both
Cuphead.
of them have to go. They have to
I
go.
think you're right.
Yeah.
They do both have to go.
And I think
I-
Destiny 2 with that same
I think
logic
Destiny
has
2 needs
go.
to follow their asses
Absolutely
right out
has
the
to
door,
go.
though.
See, okay, yeah, Destiny 2 can go. I do like it a lot.
If anyone wants to argue about Destiny 2, I'll give you the reasons why I think it doesn't belong on here.
No, it doesn't belong in the top 10 this year.
It doesn't
was
belong
just-
there.
No, it doesn't.
All right, what are we down to? 14?
All right.
I'm going to bring up Hellblade next.
Hey,
It
hey
needs to
guys,
go.
that was our first big wave. You know, we're trying to get out to sea. It's like in Moana when she's trying to get past the first few
yeah.
waves. You know, we just fought through that first one. We got a few
All
more
right.
coming.
Oh,
we
God.
fought through it.
All right. God,
Hellblade-
I think,
Hellblade's gotta
guys,
go.
I think. What's that?
Hellblade's got to go.
all right, wait.
Okay,
Okay,
so-
first of all, I agree with Derek, but before we get there, I know Tim and Kyle love that game. Let me ask you, as someone who hasn't played a lot of Xenoblade yet, is Xenoblade a top 10?
Yes.
In my opinion, yes.
I think it
Okay.
is. Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
All
All right, so
it's
then we
probably
can
2 hours
we
away
can-
from being there. You know.
The only
know,
other game. No, I'm sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
I was just going to say what's interesting is that we actually put it as our number 2 Nintendo game. And of course, if you ask me on a different day, I might put it as my number 3 behind Mario
Sure.
Odyssey. It's that
Sure.
close for me.
Yeah.
So even when we do this, I might fight for Odyssey to be a little higher. Who knows? Because I think those games are that close, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's that high in one of Nintendo's best years. I had a really hard time keeping other games on here and kicking off Xenoblade too. Like I would
Okay.
get rid of a ton of stuff before I get rid of that one.
Okay, so if we have to start nitpicking here, what is someone tell me what's so amazing about Middle Earth compared to some of these other games? It doesn't have a good story from what I gather.
No.
The gameplay seems like you guys said.
I think it can go. Honestly, I think it can go off the list.
That's what I was
I think so, too.
thinking, but-
I think it's an awesome game. I think it's super.
It's in my
fun, and,
personal top 10. It's in the bottom half of it. I don't think it stands up. Again, trying to use a lot of the logic we've been using and knowing what's going to get fought for. Like I just said, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I would fight for. I'd kick off Shadow of War before Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So
Yeah.
Derek, it's all on you.
Well, I mean, you're picking on one of my favorites, but I understand. Before we let Shadow of War go, in fact, go ahead and let it go. Can somebody please tell me why Hellblade is still on there? I keep saying get it off. Nobody's fighting for this game. You cannot tell me that this game is a top 10 game.
I was just going to say next that I think Neo, as much as I've been down on it, I think Neo's a better game than Hellblade in every aspect besides story.
All right, let's talk to Kyle real quick. Kyle, talk about Hellblade and whether or not you think it belongs in the top 10 before I give you my thoughts on it.
It's really hard because we keep on throwing around the word gameplay and stuff like that, which that's, not...
This is everything, right? This is
not
you
everything,
make the argument however you want to make it.
Absolutely, but at the end of the day, gameplay's a big part of it.
Oh, you're fading out. You're gone.
We're losing you, Kyle.
Back up a little bit, Kyle. Back up just a little bit. There you go.
It's all around my head here, so backing up won't do anything.
Yeah,
I'll hold it out like this.
You just have to hold it awkwardly, I think.
I will hold it awkwardly.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know. It doesn't show up to the gameplay department. I like that game. I think its simple combat is nice, but I think we all keep on bringing up the puzzle and stuff like that. That really sucks. I don't know. We can get rid of Hellblade, but I think it does deserve to be in the top 10.
No, Kyle, don't give up so easily. I want Hellblade gone, but I don't want you to give up that easily.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this list. You got to look at the list, though, and you got to look at what its competition is.
It needs to go.
All right, Kyle, let me ask you this, Kyle, because we are also the two warriors that will fight for Nier. Hellblade or Nier in the top 10?
Nier.
Me too.
Nier.
It's a no-brainer that Nier belongs in there.
No-brainer.
Yeah, Nier's better.
God, I think I would actually fight for Hellblade. That's how much I can't stand Nier.
Oh my gosh. Dude, what is wrong with your opinions?
Yeah, it's so crazy.
No, I think Nier is definitely better than Hellblade. So
and I haven't played Persona 5. I know it's loved so much. It's probably going to be in the top 5 of the final list. But there are going to be games like that other I just haven't played, and that just I know others are going to love. Like Resident Evil 7, I know it's got to be in the top 10. It's just not on my list. So I understand how that stuff goes sometimes. But I'm looking at the rest of these games, and I don't think Shadow of War is going to be able to stand when you've got stuff like Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed Origins that to me are fighting for that kind of big, kind of epic open world RPG action type game. I don't think Shadow of War needs to be on there. I don't think Hellblade can stay on there.
Man, we have 11 games though,
and I don't think Neo can stay on there. I think Neo, Hellblade, and Middle Earth, as much as I really do like Neo, and I really loved Shadow of War, I don't think they can stay on this list unless we decide stuff like Lost Legacy, or are we going to kick off Wolfenstein 2? Like, we need to be just real honest about what else should come off.
Since this is a collection, it comes down to the four of us, and we have 11 games left. We need to get rid of
we have 3 that I didn't delete yet. So
they're gone. They're gone.
Oh no, those can be gone.
So you're saying Neo and Shadow of War, you've given up the fight on those 2?
It's not that I'm giving up the fight. I'm just being realistic that it's a collection of all 4 of us, and those games aren't going to survive. I'm okay with them going.
So, Kyle, Shadow of War, you kept saying that you like it too. Is that one that you think should stay on here, or are you kind of with Derek?
I think that one, just like he's saying, this doesn't stand up to a lot of these other titles, or when we're talking about all of us trying to agree on a game. I don't think Shadow of War.
And even so, the other games are those are like freaking heavy hitters. I mean, every game on that list that's left.
5 out of 5 games right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hellblade for me, little spoiler alert, is actually not on my top 10. It just got bumped out here towards the end of the year.
Same here.
Plot thickens.
So that is why I can't really fight for it to be on the overall game. If I can't even put it on my personal top 10 list, how can I fight for it to be on this one? So
I mean, Hellblade did make my #1 trash list, so it has something to be proud of.
Wait! If you guys look at this list right now, the 11 we have left, how many of your top 10 are on this list?
All of them.
3, 4.
All of them?
Almost.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Kyle, you're going to be upset in a second, but Persona 5 is going to go because you're the only one. You're the only one that's played it. And there's nobody else that's going to kick off any of these other games.
I can't let that. That's just so wrong. I haven't played that game. It's just I know.
It's crazy.
All right, so hey, I'm not kicking it off. I'm just using logic here.
So who's
going to fight for Persona 5?
It's true. I mean, I'm alone on an island on that one, but
how about Persona 5?
You guys know that it's good.
I know.
I'm with you. I'm on the third castle. I think it's a great game.
How about Nier?
I'm not going to kick off any of these other games before Persona.
Derek doesn't like Nier. I haven't played it, and Kyle clearly likes Persona 5 more than almost every one of these games. I guess.
Yeah, but
I'd be more okay.
I don't know. I don't know if
I don't know.
Nier is not going off this list to keep Persona 5 on.
Thank you.
All right. Hold on. How about this one? If I'm really looking at all of these games, and again, I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, but is it as good as these other games?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would get rid of Uncharted Lost Legacy before I would get rid of any of these other games.
I would too. Yeah, Lost Legacy.
I would get rid of Uncharted Lost Legacy before I would Persona 5 or...
Guys, Lost Legacy didn't make my top 10 this year either. So
let's talk about Lost Legacy then. What do we like about it? What do we not like about it? It looks amazing, obviously.
It's beautiful.
It's got
good characters.
It's beautiful, good characters, but the story sucks. It's a lot of the same kind of... I know you guys didn't have the same gripes as me, but Uncharted 4, my main gripe was too much of just the same old climbing stuff, and I felt like in this game...
as much as that.
There wasn't like the amazing set pieces that I come to expect from those. I don't know, man. You guys are starting
some good set pieces.
I know it had some.
I just didn't
think they were on the same level.
Uncharted 4, but the reason I'm willing to get rid of Lost Legacy is not because that game falls short. It's because everything on this list is just better. Well, okay, let me state objectively better. Subjectively, I'm getting rid of a ton of other games before I get rid of it. But I'm willing to let... If you guys are feeling sorry for Persona 5, I'm not going to fight against it
like that.
Going. Then I think Uncharted or Nier have to go, and you guys won't let Nier go. So Uncharted's got to go.
Let me pause real quick, because you make a really interesting point. We can't leave a game on here based on reputation.
No.
So Kyle needs to convince us that Persona 5 needs to stay on here over games that I know are near the bottom, like Nier, like Uncharted Lost Legacy, maybe even like Wolfenstein 2. Convince us that Persona 5 deserves to stay on above some of those.
Persona 5 is like the king of a genre that's long dead. We don't get like turn-based games like this anymore. It's masterclass in that. Uncharted is just another really good Uncharted game that continues to just be good. There's no surprises there. No one was surprised that we liked that game. I think a lot of people would be pretty pleasantly surprised if they picked Persona 5, whether it's their first game in the series or not, because it's the most solid representation of the turn-based genre.
Yeah, I mean, the way people talk about Persona 5, it's like the best JRPG in 20 years. Like that's...
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's like one of the greatest JRPGs to ever exist. It's super solid, and I mean, it does rely a lot on like how much you enjoy the subject matter, which is at the end of the day teen drama. But
I don't know, man. I think I'm starting to come around a little bit, man. Between what you guys were saying before and Kyle, I don't know.
I would pick Persona 5 over Wolfenstein 2. Persona 5 is higher on my list than Wolfenstein 2. I don't love Wolfenstein 2 as much as most of these other people. I would pick Persona 5.
I didn't really dislike Wolfenstein 2 the way some other people did with like the difficulty spikes and stuff, but I don't know. I'm used to that, I guess, and I enjoyed it being that difficult. But
Wolfenstein 2 is one of the best games this year.
It is. Definitely. It has to be on this list.
Then it's either Persona 5 or Uncharted. And as far as I'm concerned, my vote is neutral because I put Uncharted rated higher than Persona 5, but I'm not going to fight to keep it. It comes down to you guys deciding. But I'm not getting rid of anything else if you guys aren't going to get rid of Wolfenstein 2.
So my experience with the Persona series is pretty limited. I did get Persona 4 Golden when I got my Vita. I probably put about 12, 13 hours into it, and then I quickly tired of it and have no interest in going back.
That's what happened to me.
And it's not because I dislike it. It's because I got bored and I realized this gameplay loop is not for me. Like some of the battle parts.
That's probably what you're going to run into with Persona 5, to be honest.
That's what I'm thinking. Now I could be totally wrong. Persona 5 could be way different. But from what I've read, the descriptions of it, what people describe as being the gameplay loop of Persona 5, I'm like, this just sounds like Persona 4 Golden again. That's what it
sounds like. I mean, they kind of got a gameplay loop that started back in Persona 3. I would say that the things that changed is just the style of the game. and the way that you travel around, like the hub areas.
So then,
and stuff
how
like
is that more? I like the word masterclass a lot, and that speaks a lot to the quality of the game. But how is that more? How is that the next thing? And I'm not saying Uncharted is, believe me, but how is the Persona 5 the next thing that Persona 4 wasn't? Like, I
No,
feel
I
like
think it's just it is a lot more honing than it is paving new ways, but we
Right.
don't have this, like, it's a dead job. Like, no one is making giant AAA
turn-based.
turn-based JRPGs anymore.
True.
Not even regular JRPGs anymore. We just don't really get them like on this level. They're always on the
True.
3DS. They're always somewhere else.
Yeah.
They took a big risk by putting so much money into this project, and a lot of people responded to it in a really positive way.
Okay.
For me, I was gonna say, for me, I know Tim was talking about he got kind of bored of Persona 4 after a while, with the way it played and stuff. For me, I liked the battling. I liked the story. The thing that lost me was like all the social stuff. I was trying. I just felt like it was so much to remember.
That's 75% of the game. If you guys don't like visual novels, and that's what.
Well, no, I do like that part though. The social. What I mean, like the social links and stuff like that. That kind of lost me a little bit.
I did not care about that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the best feature of Persona 5, is there's a start button or option button that lets you fast forward through the conversation. That's the best part of Persona 5 right there.
Oh my gosh. Goodness. So 75% of the game, Derek's laughing while he fast forwards.
Sounds like a Bobby.
No, but I'm being serious, because if you notice, I'm not pushing to get rid of Persona 5. I really like the game. I'm 20 hours into it. It's not in my top 10, but I don't feel sorry for Kyle. I don't feel sorry for Persona 5. But I do think this game deserves to be in the top 10. I really do. But again, I think the thing we're struggling with is what goes. Because for me, Nier goes. But you guys are like, no, Nier stays. Well, then that means you're kicking off Uncharted, and that's...
The only way Nier would go... If Nier gets kicked off here, it would have to be Kyle saying, listen, if the only way I can keep Persona 5 on here is for Nier to go, I'm going to have to do it. Because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 isn't coming off. I think Derek and I are going to fight for that one.
That's not coming off.
That's not coming off. Wolfenstein 2 isn't coming off.
No.
Rudy and I are definitely fighting for that one. Legend of Zelda is not coming off because no one would listen to us anymore. Resident Evil 7 isn't coming off because you three all had it in your top 3 of multi-platform games. Mario Odyssey is not coming off. It's one of the best Mario games ever. Andromeda is not coming off. We picked it for our #1 multi-platform game. Horizon Zero Dawn was our best Sony game. That's not coming off. And Assassin's Creed Origins, maybe we need to talk about that.
That's the only one you guys haven't talked about, and I can't.
I'm not talking about it because it's not coming off.
It can't come off this list. It's
Kyle, wait, Kyle, do you think? Because
it's a very
I haven't played.
So I mean, you're asking the wrong guy. I mean, it's a fine game to me.
No, I was just gonna say I haven't played Assassin's Creed. So if you were okay with getting rid of Assassin's Creed, then I
gotta tell you.
I'm sure
so
the Metacritic rating for Persona 5 is higher than Assassin's Creed.
I believe it is.
Yeah, but.
But you're gonna have Derek turn on you with Persona 5 if that happens.
Yeah, I won't
he'll turn on you.
I don't want that to happen.
He'll turn on you. But so Kyle, it kind of comes down to your thoughts on Nier versus Persona. Not that we just want to kick off a Kyle game, but based on our conversations, those two are both near the bottom of our top 10.
We're done talking about Lost Legacy being kicked out.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think we have to just do Nier versus Persona.
Okay, then
I think we got to talk about those three games.
Okay.
Right.
I mean,
I have a hard time getting rid of Lost Legacy, and I could do it just like you have a hard time getting rid of Nier or Persona.
But you guys love Nier. It sounds like you guys thought Nier was amazing.
I do love Nier.
Yeah. I'm a huge platinum.
I would leave Nier on above. Nier is on above Uncharted for me.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
And I know Derek
Nier's
won't talk
on.
about.
We can't talk about Nier.
Okay.
Nier's
okay.
on.
No more Nier. But you guys still haven't talked about Assassin's Creed. There's no talking about that, huh?
No. I'll get rid of Uncharted before I get rid of Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
All right, so
I will join Kyle's Persona 5 bandwagon and get rid of Uncharted. Just don't touch my Assassin's Creed.
Rudy, I'll just say something briefly about Assassin's Creed Origins, just real quick.
Right.
You're playing Witcher 3 right now, right? And as you go through each area, you get on your horse and you just start riding to these different areas and unlocking different things, exploring, opening up new missions.
Sure.
The closest experience I've had to that since playing through Witcher 3,
is Assassin's Creed.
honest to goodness, has been Assassin's
well,
Creed.
That's why I won't get rid of it.
Is the battle system as in depth and as fun, in my opinion? No. But it is really, really good.
Okay,
it
great.
integrates the good things about Assassin's Creed, and it takes a lot of great pieces out of games like The Witcher 3.
Gotcha.
And it is really, really
It's
good.
not your typical Assassin's Creed game, so
Right.
that's why we can't use the argument, well, it's just another good Assassin's Creed game. No,
Right.
it's the greatest Assassin's Creed game, and it doesn't
Yes, it is.
feel like Assassin's
And
Creed.
it took a year off, so I guess it paid off. So
Yeah.
okay.
I'm
built
going
something
to
new.
vote with Kyle. I think Persona 5 stays, Uncharted goes. So that's where I vote.
I think Uncharted's going to have to fall off this list. Rudy, how sad does that make you?
I'm not happy about it, but
Rudy, just know that this is Kyle's fault.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna fall on the sword for this one. I don't care.
I'm not happy about it, but I know I've said it a few times, but I was one of the people who didn't like. Again, it's hard saying this, but I loved Uncharted 4. I just didn't like it as much as everyone else, and I thought this game was a hair better than that. So I'm okay with it coming off.
That's how I feel. I feel like Uncharted Lost Legacy, and it's in my top 10. Spoiler.
Yeah,
I feel like it was better than Uncharted 4 for me.
Yeah, me too.
But when I look at the grand scope of all these games, and I know we're doing this mainly on subjectivity, but I do like to bring objectivity into my opinions. Sure. Persona 5 deserves it. And I've put in 20 hours, so I have a clear opinion on it. I do not hate this game. If you've noticed, I never say, I hate Persona 5. I hate Nier, but I don't hate Persona 5. I like Persona 5.
Derek, in every category we've had, even in categories where Persona 5 is not a nominee, you have fought for Persona 5.
Yes, but I hate Nier. I just want to make sure you guys are clear.
I'm definitely, because of your guys.
Number 5 then, right? We're going to put it at 5.
Well, just,
what did you say, Rudy?
I was going to say, just like Derek was saying earlier, that he took some of our recommendations, Kyle and mine's recommendations. I think you guys are the ones who really pushed me. Like, we talked about a little bit, you guys were like gushing about Witcher 3. I think in the group, I saw it on sale, bought it. I think the next 2 games I might do that with are Nier. I actually have already, so I'll play that next, and Assassin's Creed, I think, which I haven't played Assassin's Creed game since the first one, so that's a big deal.
Get it on PC. It's glorious.
Oh, I'm gonna get it on PC for sure, and probably check it out. So
it's glorious.
All right,
it made it.
So
Persona 5's on. Kyle, you can send me a check. You can send me a check.
I will. Yeah, thank you for that backroom deal that we made.
So we have narrowed this down to 10 nominees that we need to now rank somehow. Assassin's Creed, Horizon, Mass Effect, Nier, Persona 5, Resident Evil 7, Mario Odyssey, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Wolfenstein 2, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
We have no smaller games.
I went ahead and got us no smaller games, which is a bummer because
get him out of here.
Get him. Oh,
Kyle throwing it out.
I was gonna say anybody that's listening.
What have you done?
Anybody that's listening to the audio is like, oh, there goes Derek again. Nope, that was Kyle.
That was Kyle. Everybody, that was Kyle. All right. I went ahead and got us started based on our previous conversation. I put Persona 5 at 10 because it barely made it in here, and I put Nier at 9 simply because we've got one person on the panel who hasn't played it. Someone else on the panel who literally hates it and has put a decent amount of time into it. And I don't know where you have this on your list, Kyle, but you guys will hear when I do my top 10. It's in there, but it's not super high in my top 10 because this has been an incredible year for other games. So I love Nier, but it as I tried to compare game to game, it ended up sliding down to about this spot on my top 10.
Oh, wow.
So
these are they are back to back on my list, and they're very high up there. So
is this? I mean, I'm not setting these in stone, but I know Kyle would have both these games higher. But Rudy and Derek, does this make sense to you?
I played I only played a few hours of Nier. I loved it. Thought it was great so far. But I think it definitely doesn't. I wouldn't put it in the top 5 or anything in this list.
Yeah, I would keep these definitely down at the bottom, just in terms of just
the only game, and I know you guys are going to give me pushback. I'm just giving you my thought process. The only game that I would put behind those two, and I would obviously rate Persona 5 higher than Nier, is Wolfenstein 2.
Oh, can't do that one.
I think Wolfenstein is better than both.
I just don't love
agree.
it. I think it's good, but I just don't love it.
Wolfenstein for me is right around as this.
I personally,
just these games, it's around the 6-7 range.
I love Mass Effect, but I personally don't. I don't think that game's better than Wolfenstein or Zelda.
Can somebody
or
mute Rudy? Can we just mute Rudy?
I think Mass Effect is bottom 5. Just saying.
It's literally. I'm not gonna give away my list. It is fighting for Game of the Year for me. Wow. That's how much.
But here's the thing. And well, first of all, we all know the 4 of us in this group are not the people who exaggerate. Mass Effect is so bad. We all love that game. So I'm saying this with, I still love that game. I just don't. And I mean, Kyle had Persona 5, I'm sure, extremely high, and now
he did.
That's at the bottom of the list. So I don't know.
Yes, but with that logic, and I get what you're saying. I'm not an idiot. He has nobody else fighting with him. He's the only one that has Persona 5 high. I can say Mass Effect Andromeda is high on my list, and then Tim's going to say, well, it's on my list, and then it might be on Rudy's list.
It's in the bottom.
It's on Kyle's list.
It's in the bottom half of my list.
It's high on my list, yeah.
Okay.
So
it's in the bottom half of my list.
That's the difference.
Oh, wait, we got a split, though. Tim and I have it on the bottom half.
It's all in the bottom half for the other 3
Tim,
of us.
do you have anything good on the top half? That's the question. You just go,
no.
You just go, really good game, really good game, really good game. Okay.
I only. Hey, thanks for giving me something to edit here at the end of the show.
Nice.
We got so far.
It's gonna be
I gotta actually listen through while I edit this thing, you jerk. But no, I of course I have good games at the top of my list. I have Assassin's Creed, and this is not in order, but no, Golf Story is not in my top 10, as much as I love it. Assassin's Creed, Horizon, Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade, Zelda, those are all above Mass Effect for me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've got it towards the bottom of my list. I don't think we can put it in the top 5 based on the ones that remain.
Oh, really? Kyle, how high is Andromeda for you?
It's high, man.
It's high for me. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's...
All right, well, let's talk about something we haven't talked about yet with this debate. Let's talk about Horizon Zero Dawn, Mario Odyssey, some of these that are kind of in that second tier. Because I'm not assuming that Zelda is our number 1 game, but I'm assuming it's in the top 3.
Yeah.
I am assuming it's number 1.
That's what I'm assuming.
I would probably put it at number 1, but that's just
Guys,
me.
I'm trying to get our listeners to stay tuned in. Would you cut it out?
They're not dumb. They already knew going into this that Zelda was going to probably finish.
Wait, but I think...
You guys are ruining everything.
No, I think Tim's right, though. So, wait, if you have...
Transparency.
Hold on. If you have Assassin's Creed, which you guys absolutely love, you have Horizon Zero Dawn, which I think all of us feel the same, Zelda, and I think Mario, most of us feel that way. So at least if you
Mario
have
Odyssey,
those 4, I can't see Mass Effect being top 3 or 4.
Mass Effect being at 5 makes sense, or 5 or is around there. Pull my head around that.
I think Resident Evil is better. God.
No. I love Resident
so right
Evil.
now, based on what I'm hearing Wolfenstein at 8.
Yes.
Because of the competition, I'm hearing Wolfenstein at 8, and I'm hearing Resident Evil at 7, appropriately. Resident Evil 7 at number 7. Because then we've got a fight for the last 6.
Is Xenoblade better? Is Xenoblade above Resident Evil and Wolfenstein? Do you guys really think that?
It is for me.
Okay. It is for me. The question, well, I actually have Resident Evil a step higher than Xenoblade.
I think we should do that.
But
no.
My question is, do we have, and I'm going to ask Kyle and Rudy, because I already know Tim's answer, is Resident Evil 7 above Super Mario Odyssey on your list?
For me, yes.
It is for me.
For me, personally, yes.
It's on mine, too. It's ahead of Super Mario Odyssey.
That's a hard one.
Why did I even bother to do this show?
No, Tim, don't lose hope yet. No, I love Resident Evil, but man, Super Mario Odyssey is
Resident Evil 7 a better game than Super Mario
No,
Odyssey?
I don't
I
think
just
it is.
like Resident Evil 7 better. I do not
Oh my god.
No. We haven't lost this fight
him
yet.
the
No,
question.
Super Mario
Just ask him the
Odyssey I put above Resident Evil for sure, by quite a few spots actually.
Okay.
I'll find some alcohol.
Okay. All right, but I'm going to tell you right now, I do not have Super Mario Odyssey in my top 5. So I don't think it should be real high. Like I don't think it should be top 3.
I think that game
have it
is
in my top 10.
I think that game is just amazing. I don't know.
Dude, Mario Odyssey.
It's
Mario Odyssey is looking great at that 6th spot.
No way. That is a freaking travesty.
Super Mario Odyssey, the 6th best game of the year. You gotta be kidding.
Looks beautiful right
I would prefer Mario Odyssey be a little higher. And you
okay, wait.
It's better than Andromeda.
It's better than Andromeda for sure.
It is better than Andromeda. It's better
really
than
not,
Assassin's Creed Origins.
It's really not. It's really not.
Guys, you guys are killing me. All right, let's spitball here. Let's see what you guys think Mario is better than. What games do you find Mario to be better than? Not Tim, but the other Kyle.
The bottom 3, and that's it.
Oh my god.
So Derek, if you were ranking these, you would have Odyssey sitting at 7?
Yes.
Yes.
That is freaking crazy.
What about
I'm
you?
sorry, I agree with Derek, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
Oh my god. All right,
How
Tim.
are you saying that, Kyle? I stuck up for you.
Tim, we've been disagreeing a lot, but we're about to form Voltron right now.
I don't love that game. It's just great. It's just fun, and I have a smile on my face.
So, Rudy, Mario Odyssey or Resident Evil?
Mario Odyssey is a better game.
All right, so that's a tie, and let's go to Metacritic. Oh wait, we know what
Yeah,
that's okay, so Mario Odyssey is right above that one.
I said it looks pretty at 6. It's not going in.
Okay,
no, that's gotta keep going.
Kyle, Mario Odyssey or Mass Effect Andromeda?
Again, we're talking about, for me, Mass Effect Andromeda.
We already know what's going to happen.
Heck, Kyle?
Yeah.
Wait, guys. Okay, wait. Can we dig into this a little bit? Can someone explain to me what makes Mass Effect better than Mario?
It's not better than Mario Odyssey.
I don't.
Yeah, again, it's just a preference. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like platformers. It's not my particular like genre of games.
Fair enough.
Like,
That's fair.
Mario's great, but it's just not my favorite.
I know. Derek loves Mass Effect.
I've talked to Tim a lot about like how a game can be really good, but if I'm not emotionally attached to it, it's gonna fall in my rankings. Mass Effect Andromeda, I'm emotionally attached to that game. It's very high up. It has nothing to do with other people hating it. I love the original trilogy, and everybody loved the original trilogy.
Oh yeah, I know it's.
I think this game. This is me personally. I think Andromeda is gameplay wise way better than the original trilogy. I think the worlds that you visit are better than the original trilogy. The only thing it falls a little bit short, and I'm only going to give it a little bit short, is the overall story. But keep in mind, it didn't even get a chance to play out the entire thing. It left us, if you actually, and I know you haven't finished the game, Rudy, but it actually leaves you with a lot of mysteries that are very interesting. And I'm now disappointed, and I don't get disappointed a lot by stuff like this, but the fact that I'm probably never going to see an Andromeda 2 is extremely disappointing because I wanted to see all this stuff play out.
They
It
sowed a lot of seeds, we're not going to see them.
I'm not emotionally invested in Mario Odyssey. Do I think objectively it's great? Yes. Do I think subjectively it's great? Yes. But it's not high on my list. It's in my top 10. It's at the bottom.
For me,
can I
Odyssey,
say that? I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think Super Mario Odyssey is objectively probably a better game than Mass Effect Andromeda. But if we're battling for preference and what we enjoy more, Mass Effect Andromeda is just
Yeah, for me, it's both. Odyssey is better on both fronts. Honestly, other than Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, you could catch me on the right day, and I'll say Odyssey is better than every other game this year. Second this year. Now, now, based on what I'm looking at, and based on my personal list, it's more around the 4 range. But on another day, I might say, no, you know what? I actually like it better than Xenoblade and better than Horizon. Those are my other 2 like really highly ranked games.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time putting Andromeda. I have a hard time putting Origins above it, but I could see it. I have a really hard time putting Andromeda above it because I loved that game. I've already fought for it on this list and on previous lists.
Yeah.
It has a ton of problems, including pacing issues, and I don't want to disparage it too much because I really liked it a lot. But it has dialogue problems. It has actual technical issues that brought my experience with it down, both with a glitchiness factor, facial animations.
Bruh. Play on PC.
I can only tell you the experience I had, not the one that I wish I guess I had. But in certain combat situations, it would, really slow down. Right, I'm playing on my old PS4 like a poor person, I guess. And so
Well, no, I even had that on PC. Some issues at launch. I'm just saying.
To me, it had
Rudy,
technical.
get your fake news out of here. Get your fake news out of here.
It had enough technical issues. It had enough storytelling and pacing issues. Even though I overall still liked the story a lot, it had enough of those issues that when I compare it to a game like Mario Odyssey, that I can't point to any flaws in that game.
Look, let me say this
in Mario Odyssey.
We know where Kyle and I stand.
Right.
But the bottom line, with the rules set in place, Mario Odyssey is going to beat it. Because it's a 2-2 draw, and we already know it's the better Metacritic. That's not even a question. So it's already higher. The question I'm going to pose to Tim and Rudy is, how far are you guys going to try to take Mario Odyssey? Go ahead and put Andromeda at 6, because there's nothing Kyle and I can do.
No, I don't. I would.
Yeah, right.
I would take it.
That's a losing battle.
I would take it as far as. I don't think Odyssey is better than Horizon. That one I won't go farther than. But I would take it as high as 3. But I also have some wiggle room, maybe 4.
I would settle for it at 5 because I'm going to fight against Andromeda, but I'm going to have a harder time pushing against Origins, which was my personal favorite multi-platform game of the year. They're actually kind of closer. And so I'm okay with Origins being above it on 4, and then Odyssey at 5, Andromeda at 6. Knowing I love all 3 of those games, I personally would have Odyssey above Origins in my own personal list. But I wouldn't hate it being that way. And I know Kyle's kind of in a weird spot now because he actually doesn't think Origins should be this far in the first place.
No.
Oh,
Damn
man.
it.
I just don't. I don't think Mass Effect is better than Odyssey at all. God, that's so crazy to me.
No, it's not even, we already settled that one.
Let's just put Mass Effect at 6. I don't think it's going to move up any higher.
Okay, but wait, before we do that, both Rudy and Derek, do you guys have Mass Effect below Assassin's Creed Origins?
I don't have Assassin's Creed Origins just because I haven't played it. So.
Okay, what about Kyle and Derek then?
Andromeda's higher on my list.
Andromeda's higher for me too.
Well, then why isn't Origins at 6?
I mean, I would fight for that all day. I think it should be at 10, but that's just me.
Well, because Tim, you said that Origins is high on your list, or not? Origins is high on your list.
It is, but
it's high on my list too.
I made the assumption that you liked it more than Andromeda. If that's not the case, then I'm going to push for Odyssey at 4 pretty hard. Then, because I thought you guys were having Origins really high for some reason in my mind.
We haven't talked much about Xenoblade. I know you guys love that game. Is it top 3 material? Yeah. Wow.
For me, it is. It's my favorite JRPG I've played in years.
Okay.
It's not top 3 for me personally, but because you guys are basically saying Andromeda and Origins are 6 and 5, now you're eliminating a couple of my top 4. So, I mean, Xenoblade probably is going to end up slipping up to a 4 or a 3 spot for me.
But should it go there?
Should it? Yes. All these
According
games
to our
are worthy.
list, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I mean, for you, do you have Xenoblade, Derek? Do you have Xenoblade above Origins and Andromeda?
No.
Okay, so you have it below those 2.
Yes.
And Kyle, you haven't played much of it, right?
I played up to through chapter 3. I haven't gotten a real feel for the game. Like this, I could drop off this game in another couple hours, or it could really pull me into the next.
So then, talk to me about Xenoblade, Kyle, compared to Origins, 2 games that you still haven't been won over by. Which one would you have higher?
I would definitely have Xenoblade higher than Origins.
Okay. So it sounds like Origins at 6 were okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it gets my Andromeda up 1 spot, I'll
It sounds like it will, because I personally have Xenoblade in my top 3, but Derek doesn't, Kyle doesn't, and Rudy hasn't really played it. Right. So I don't know how it can go much higher than 5 based on the fight we're hearing between Andromeda and Mario Odyssey.
I can already predict what the final list is going to be, but because Tim doesn't want me to spoil it, I'll sit here and just watch it play out.
All right.
Oh boy.
It's already done. I already know what's going to happen.
You're so fun at parties.
Well, that's entirely up to what you guys feel.
I already know the result, but I guess I'll sit and watch. You're that guy? All right.
I'm that guy.
I'm going to put Xenoblade at number 5.
I don't know, man. I just want to say something else about Odyssey. You know what it is about Odyssey? I played Mass Effect and I didn't beat it, but I did put a good 25 hours in so far, so it's not like I'm unfamiliar with the game. The thing about Odyssey is they're both fun to play, but when I'm playing Odyssey, I'm like, have a smile on my face the whole time, like wowed by what I'm seeing. Mass Effect, when I go to new planets, I'm like, that looks cool looking planet. There's no really new species unless they all of a sudden start pouring a ton of new aliens towards the end of the game, which do they, or is it pretty much just all the same aliens from the previous games? That's all.
No, it's all the same, and that is one big weak spot of
I was a little
the Mass
disappointed
Effect
by
game,
that.
and that is the new alien design is pretty uninspired, but that didn't ruin the game for me at all.
Right.
The design
it's
is
just
not great.
The further I got into Odyssey and not looking anything up, not knowing when it was going to end, and then when it ends, you get these throwback levels that are just completely wow you. I don't know, man. That game just does something.
There's a variation in the gameplay in Odyssey that is unlike anything else this year.
Definitely.
And it nails each variation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
And then there's tons of replay value. The biggest weak spot is the same thing with every Mario game, and that's there's not really a story there. You're right. They don't do a lot of character development with Mario and Peach and Bowser.
That's not what it's about.
Yeah, but every game's got to have a story.
Yeah.
So what I did based on what we just talked about is I put Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at number 5. I put Mass Effect at 4 only because of just a barely there tiebreaker that put Mario Odyssey one step above it, because we couldn't really come to a consensus there. Both Kyle and Derek have Andromeda higher. Rudy and I both have Odyssey higher. All four of us feel pretty intense about that. And so we had to go to the tiebreaker, but then that leaves us, which we haven't really talked about, Zelda or Horizon yet. Are we assuming those are our 1-2 punches? Because they are.
Yes, so. They're the ones.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
So
because they are for me, but I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't know if maybe one of you was like, yeah, because I've talked to people who were like, yeah, Horizon wasn't that great. Like they have it not even in their top 10.
I know plenty of people who feel that way.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Right.
Is there? I mean, my personal pick is Zelda, but I'm open to hearing any reason why Horizon should be above it. I know it's a better story.
Zelda is a better video game than Horizon.
I think it definitely is.
See, here's the thing.
Hands down.
I'm okay with Zelda being 1, but I just want to make sure I'm very clear. Horizon Zero Dawn for me was more fun to play. I think the world's prettier. I obviously like the story more.
Yeah.
Where Zelda shines, and this is where I've seen a lot of people who think Zelda's overrated debate it, especially if they're pro Horizon Zero Dawn, is Zelda did something for me that none of these other games on this list did. And that's, they put me in a world as a young boy who could just run around freely and go on an adventure.
Yeah.
Like, it took me back to being a kid. So sure, if you want to say nostalgia or whatever, but it's not the nostalgia they're talking about. It has nothing to do with me being a Zelda fanboy.
It didn't take you back to being a kid who played Zelda when you were
Yeah,
it
took me
back to the
being...
idea of going out to the woods and just like playing.
Yeah, right. I used to do that with my cousin. We had these huge. His yard was huge. Like he had this big yard, and then there was a whole section of woods. And then there was about 6 or 7 acres behind the woods once you got through it. I'm talking he owned like 10 acres of land. And we would go and explore. We would run into rattlesnakes. We had firework fights and battles back there. We'd play hide and seek. We would just explore. We would disappear. And that's kind of what this game took me back to. Obviously, there's other things the game does real well. It's extremely smart. We've talked about it in the past, about how it uses the weather systems and incorporates it into the gameplay. It's an intelligent game, but the number one thing it did for me is it just put me out in the wild and let me play freely. I never had to worry about side missions or main missions. Yes, they're in the game, but that wasn't my concern. It was just to play and explore.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, these two games are the two best games of the year. I think they're kind of in a tier of their own. Everything I had to say about Mario Odyssey stands, but these two were above that one for me personally, because they were so much fun to play. I actually disagree that Horizon Zero Dawn was more fun to actually play, because I played these games back to back like many of us did. They came out within what, like
3
5
days
or 4
of each other
or something.
Yeah, they were really right back to back.
And even just playing them back to back, I mean, I directly compared them in a ton of ways. Like, hey, how come I can climb in Horizon when it's raining, but in Zelda I always fall? Or how come in Horizon I can't climb every wall? I have to have a dumb yellow marker, So you're comparing both games. They both have moments that you like better than the other. But for me, the thing that Zelda does is it has, in my opinion, the gameplay is more varied, number one, and including the exploration aspect. And I totally agree with what Derek said. Like the idea that you can go to any tree and climb it, any mountain and climb it, assuming you've got the stamina to make it up, certain surfaces. You can go anywhere that you can see. It's got that kind of Skyrim-esque feeling, right? You go, you see this giant landscape. You pick a spot in the horizon and you can go to it. You can technically get there with the right gear and whatever. You can get there. And it also has, in my opinion, a really fun combat system that people think is just as simple as swing your sword or use your shield. It gets really in depth, and some of the dodges and the timing, especially when you fight against the laser shooting things and some of the boss battles and those Lionels, those friggin' Lionels are really tough to beat. So I think the combat's actually more in depth than it gets credit for, and it's more rewarding. While on the other hand, you've got the Horizon adds elements of RPG into it, where you're upgrading your gear and you're crafting, and so they both have so many amazing aspects. I give the edge just barely to Zelda because it does so many new things that made me actually sit back and go, whoa. Like it had so many of those moments. I couldn't believe that they pulled it off. So Zelda's my number one game of the year. Spoiler for when we share our top 10 lists.
Because of nostalgia.
Because of nostalgia.
Something else that I wanted to mention that I think, again, these games are both phenomenal. But one thing that I started, I bought Horizon, started playing it. Zelda came out. I dropped Horizon, got way lost into Zelda. I beat it, and then I came back to Horizon, finished it. Then when I went back to Horizon, the number one thing I noticed, well, actually two things was, A, the world of Horizon, when it's fun to fight those robots and stuff, but the whole world of Horizon, if you just drop me somewhere in the world of Horizon, I couldn't tell you where I was. There's no significance really besides maybe the radar things that you set off. If you drop me in Zelda, if you drop me in Zora's Domain or something, I'm gonna know I'm there. If you drop me in the Highlands where the snow is, I'll know I'm there. In the Goron area, that's what I like about Zelda's world. It's very distinct. Like it's very distinct from each. You go to the Gerudo area with all the sand, and then you go to the Zora area. It's like way different, and the way they let you make your own,
it feels handcrafted, right? The whole experience, including the map, feels handcrafted.
And the way they let you make your own map, like you start an Assassin's Creed game, for example, and you see a million, even The Witcher, see a million question marks and this and this and this. Yeah. Zelda's is like very empty on the map, but you can place things on your own, which I love. You made your own custom map.
You build your own map out.
Piecing together your own map. That was cool.
It was great. Good games, man.
Kyle, any thoughts on these top two and where you land on 1 and 2?
Yeah, I kind of landed exactly where y'all land. The Legend of Zelda inks ahead of Horizon for me, and I have a very similar play style that I did like Rudy did, where I started Horizon, Zelda came out, ruined my life, stopped Horizon, came back to Horizon afterwards. But I was never left going like, ooh, like, oh, Zelda was doing this so much better. They still felt like so different enough experiences.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of overlap.
Yep. Definitely.
So I felt good about that, and there's epic moments in Horizon where you're killing gigantic robot dinosaurs and T-Rex and stuff, and when you're going into what are those things called? Like the cauldrons, I think they're called.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. See, I wasn't really a fan of those areas.
I hated those areas. To be honest with you.
I thought they looked really cool.
That's the only.
Kyle, I love
that's the only part I didn't like.
We're stumbling onto one and just like trying to guess which monster you're going to be able to control next. It was a cool reward,
Yep. To me, it wasn't all that different from some of the vaults you go into in Mass Effect Andromeda. Very similar.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I wouldn't say that I love the vaults though.
Yeah,
I like the exploration of the outside. That's hence me liking Zelda. That's why I like the most about Horizon. You spend probably 90% of the game outside. So I've always liked that. But yeah, I think both games were doing something different. I think too many times, especially with these Game of the Year awards, I'm not saying we're doing it here, we're not, but I've seen other people online debate this crap. They start tearing these games apart and being like, well, Horizon did this and Zelda didn't, and Zelda did this and Horizon didn't. Both games are totally different. Like, get over it. Both are quality, like top quality. But for me, I'm also looking for two different things when I'm playing two different games, and I feel like Zelda objectively and subjectively did it better than Horizon.
Yeah, these top 6 games for me are all so good this year that it's hard for me to say too many bad things about any of them. Yeah. I was really kind of nitpicking to really be negative on Mass Effect because I love that game.
Yeah,
I think
same
that game
here.
got tons of unfair criticism.
You lost some points with me, buddy.
Yeah, sorry about that. But I had to say something. I had to make an argument for Mario. But the top 6 for me are so good, and I think some of you would say top 7 because you guys love your Resident Evil 7. But to me, the top 6 are far and away above the rest of them. Even ones that I love, like Wolfenstein 2 and Nier. These top 6 though are way better than those. I know we don't all love the order that we have them in right now, but do we feel like there's any room to move these around before we finalize this list?
I think this is a great list.
Good.
I think it looks perfect.
Is it how you imagined it would go?
It's how I said it was going to go when I said I wasn't going to tell you how it was going to go.
Got it. All right, so Derek, since you already knew how this was going to turn out, I'm not even sure why you joined us to record if you already knew the.
Yeah, you should have just sent a proxy.
Because I had to make sure Kyle got Persona 5 on.
Oh, don't.
Without me,
no, without you,
Mass
Effect would have dropped off probably.
Yeah, and Mass Effect would have dropped, which would have pissed me off.
Let's go ahead and Derek walk us through our top 10 overall games of 2017.
Yeah, so this is a great list. This is the Fathers of the Grind official best overall games list, top 10, and we've got number 10, Persona 5, number 9, Nier Trash, number 8, Wolfenstein 2, number 7, Resident Evil 7, number 6, Assassin's Creed Origins, number 5, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, number 4, Mass Effect Andromeda, robbed, number 3, Super Mario Odyssey, number 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, and number 1, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Go.
What a shocker, that last one, that's super surprising.
And people are going to see it and be like, obviously, only 10 bucks.
Yeah. All right, well, we are going to wrap up our time together by sharing each of our personal top 10 lists and just give everyone a chance to hear the games that we've loved without allowing each other to tell us whether we're right or wrong. You pick whatever you want for your top 10. No one can tell you you're wrong, okay?
And so I would suggest, since we're so late into the show, that we just literally read our lists and we don't really need to talk about why we like those games.
Do you have an appointment or something? Why are you in such a hurry? What's going on?
It's 1 a.m. That's my appointment.
East Coast over here.
All right, well let's start with Kyle. Give us your top 10 list for 2017. Starting with number 10.
My number 10 is going to be South Park. My number 8 is Wolfenstein.
What about number 9?
Sorry, my number 9 is Wolfenstein. My number 8 is Resident Evil 7.
We lost you.
Nope. You're gone.
Cutting out, buddy.
Lean right back here.
There you go. All
right, so go with number 8 again.
Number 8 is Resident Evil 7. My number 7 is Uncharted. My number 6 is Yakuza 0. Number 5 is Mass Effect Andromeda. Number 4 is Horizon Zero Dawn. Number 3 is Derek's favorite, Nier Automata. Number 2 is Persona 5. And number 1 is Legend of Zelda.
Oh, so your number 2 and 3 we had at the bottom of our list. I'm sorry about
that. Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate
it. Let me say this, Kyle. Sorry, not sorry. So
now I feel it because so much of my list, at least in the top 5, really matches up, and so now I feel bad. But
yeah, you should feel bad. And we almost kicked Persona 5 to the curb. So even
we're trying so hard to murder that thing.
Well, I get to edit the show, so in reality, the final 10 is going to sound however I want it to sound. So Rudy, give us your top 10.
All right, I got number 10, Prey, which sadly was cut right away. 9, Mass Effect Andromeda. 8, Cuphead, also cut. 7, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. 6, Uncharted Lost Legacy, also cut. That's okay though. 5, Pyre, also cut. 4, Resident Evil 7. 3, Super Mario Odyssey. 2, Horizon Zero Dawn. And number 1, Legend of Zelda.
All right, at least you got your top 3.
Yeah, I got my top 3.
You got your top 3 matched up. That's good. All right, Derek.
Rudy had a lot of cuts though. Jeez.
I did.
I poor Rudy. He's just filled with bitterness.
I'm crying about Persona 5, barely making it. And he's like, yeah, half my list is.
Well, I had Pyre and Cuphead. I thought one of them would make it somehow. But no, didn't happen.
No, not on this podcast. Okay, so real quick, I just want to say I cut PUBG from my top 10, but I really did want to put it in there. So that's right on the outside of my top 10 because it's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
But number 10 is Neo. Number 9 is Mario Odyssey. Number 8 is Uncharted Lost Legacy. Number 7 is Shadow of War. Number 6 is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Number 5 is Resident Evil 7. 4 is Assassin's Creed Origins. 3 is Horizon Zero Dawn. 2 is Mass Effect Andromeda. And number 1 is Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Ooh.
We didn't prearrange a meeting, by the way, people listening. We didn't all decide let's put Zelda number 1. Just so everyone knows that.
No, I really had Mass Effect Andromeda ahead of Zelda, but
right.
I don't know. I think part of my objective view, because I feel like I had way more fun with Andromeda, but my objective view was Zelda.
I gotta get back to that game.
All right, my top 10 goes like this. I have Nier at number 10. Games like Hellblade and Golf Story got bumped off. They used to be in the top 10, including Destiny 2, Uncharted Lost Legacy. They all got bumped out. Nier's at number 10. Mass Effect Andromeda is number 9. Wolfenstein 2 is number 8. Shadow of War, number 7. Mario plus Rabbids, number 6. Assassin's Creed Origins, number 5. Super Mario Odyssey, number 4. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, number 3. Horizon Zero Dawn, number 2. And Zelda Breath of the Wild, number 1. Which is why our top 2 for our combined list was so easy, because we pretty much all had that same, at least our top 3, our personal top 3s, they all included the top 2 of our combined list, except for with the exception of Derek having Andromeda up there. But that still landed at 4, which is not bad. Considering the fact that Kyle's top 2 and 3 are at the bottom of the list.
Did anyone share any? I know we shared a lot of top 3 ones. Did anyone share any bottom half ones? I think Tim. I think me and you shared Mass Effect Andromeda at 9. I don't know.
Yeah, me and Derek both had Shadow of War at 7. I heard.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
No one else had Mario plus Rabbids on their list. No one else had Pyre on their list like Rudy did. So we have a few that each of us. Oh, no one else had South Park like Kyle did.
Mario Rabbids was a good game, man. That was a good game.
So it's what's kind of interesting is that we each come with different tastes, obviously, and different games that hook us in certain ways. Of course, talking about them like this we can convince each other at times to give a game another shot or to try a game we never would have tried otherwise. So that's why a lot of this is interesting to me. Plus, as a listener, I just like hearing a good debate where you hear a passionate defense or attack on a certain game or a set of games. So this has been really fun. I know it ended up being a lot longer overall, just all the different times we had to sit down and record, and right now we're sitting at 2.5 hours. This is going to be the final episode, one gigantic episode that will probably come out on New Year's Eve. So apologies to everyone. Thank you guys so much for all this time you've given.
Sure.
I really appreciate it. So much.
Thank you. It was
no problem, man.
Awesome.
Now we're in the Kyle was already in the alumni. Now I've joined the ranks. So
that's right. Well, you guys have put in a lot of recording time for us the last couple weeks, so can't emphasize enough how much I appreciate it. So thank you all for listening. Happy New Year. Great 2017, and here's to a better 2018. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys later. All right, guys, that wraps us up. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. I know that if each of us were to have created those official lists, they would have looked a little different, so that's why we wanted to share our final picks there at the end of the episode. So, again, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, like I said at the beginning, we really enjoyed recording this. This was a lot of fun for us. So what I wanted to do real quick to wrap things up here is let you guys know who won in the community voting for all the Game of the Year awards picks. So just to recap a couple of things, we had things like Most Stylish, that went to Persona 5. Best Music went to Nier Automata. Best Visuals went to Horizon. Best Story went to Horizon. Worst overall game went to Hellblade. A little unfair, but understandable in some cases, I suppose. Best Acting went to Uncharted Lost Legacy. Best Writing to Horizon. Best Hero to Aloy from Horizon. Best Villain went to Frau Engel from Wolfenstein 2. Most Pleasantly Surprising Game, you guys had a tie between Resident Evil 7 and Assassin's Creed Origins. Favorite mobile game, you guys picked South Park Phone Destroyer. Favorite PC game was PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Favorite sports game was MLB The Show 17. Favorite family or kids game was Super Mario Odyssey. Best Microsoft game, Cuphead. Nintendo game was Zelda. Best Sony game was Horizon. And then for our final episode, which you just listened to here, You guys picked Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for favorite remaster re-release. You picked Spider-Man for most anticipated game. We didn't have a Gem of the Year pick for you guys, but we did have for best DLC expansion. You guys picked Uncharted Lost Legacy. You picked Assassin's Creed Origins for best multi-platform game, and finally for best overall game, it was a pretty close vote, but it came down to Horizon Zero Dawn as your winner. The community winner for Game of the Year. So thank you all for voting. Thanks for your involvement in this. Really, really appreciate your support, for your regular listening, for your subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. We will not, at least not in the near future, plan to ask for any money. We'll keep doing this for free. It's super fun for us, and we enjoy it. But if you do want to help us out, one of the best ways to do that is to just get the word out. Just share the show, get people to listen, to check us out on YouTube or on their podcast services. That's the best way you can help us out. So I appreciate it. Again, Happy New Year. Take care, you guys.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Sometimes I'm like, we're getting some momentum, we're going the right direction, and then Derek gets to talk to the public, and then I'm like, well,